quickly into space. Concepcion, blockers in front, and here he goes. KC says TD.
This is 365 Sports.
Final 30 seconds of the quarter. Second down throw to the end zone. Douglas. Touchdown, Texas Tech. What a drive.
365 Sports is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Sorsby the keep with a cut. Broken ankles. See ya.
365 Sports is also brought to you by Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, protecting Texans since 1952.
Another first down for Vandy. Pressure off the edge. He steps up, and now he's going to run for the end zone and score. Diego Pavia.
Remember when you had a guy, someone who could fix anything? They're still out there at Batteries Plus. With their quick solutions and expert advice on batteries, key fobs, and phone repair, Batteries Plus will have you in and out and on your way in no time. Batteries Plus, the experts in charge.
Brown takes another shot. Wide open Coger. Touchdown, South Florida, 63 yards.
Now here's David Smoak and Craig Smoak.
We are at that point where there are games in the afternoon with college football bowl games. We'll get to one from earlier today, also two more tonight, all of that. And it's when you memories for me sitting down and just watching TV, 3 and 4 games a day in bowl season. That starts today. Games are underway, and we will also look at the Big 12 games, including a couple of games of this week. Craig Smoak with me, Paul Catalina out. I'm David Smoak, and full throttle. The rich and famous of Andrew Valade, Logan Bugessi, and then also Garrett Ross and Brandon Rowe. Here we go. The games are underway, Craig. Bowl games are here. It's kind of nice to be able to – it's unique for us to be able to do that during the early part of the day. And first game on the docket from earlier today, Toledo and Louisville are at halftime at 7-3.
Yeah, I mean, there's a triple header today, and good afternoon, everybody. Shout out to chat, and hope you're all doing well. And our last show for the rest of this week as we get ready to head on into Christmas like the rest of you guys. So going to make these next couple of hours hopefully worth your while, and I do appreciate your time. But, yeah, Louisville and Toledo playing right now, Boca Raton Bowl, and it's 7-3 Cardinals at this point in time. Miller Moss has thrown for a touchdown as Louisville and Toledo both scored there in the first quarter, blanked in the second. And so here we are with a low-scoring game that's trying to, I guess, rival Miami and A&M or something, except for they've already scored too many points in the first half, I guess, to compare to that game exactly. But, yeah, I think that it's going to be a fun day. If you're into just kind of having the background of games or you're at work and it's that time of year, almost like March Madness, but bowl season where you have some afternoon games to enjoy if you're sitting around or at work or whatever. So, yeah, looking forward to it. And then a couple of games later on today, you got Western Kentucky and Southern Miss that'll be taking each other on at around 4:30. And then later on tonight, UNLV and Ohio, that Western Kentucky Southern Miss game, the New Orleans Bowl, that starts at 4:30. And then UNLV Ohio, the Frisco Bowl.
Up in Frisco, up just an hour and a half from here.
Yeah, Scooter's Coffee. I don't know how I feel about always saying the advertisers' names. I don't know about you guys.
Well, they pay for that. I don't always do that. I know. I get that. And, like, if we had a title sponsor, which we do, there's still people going to say 365 Sports. But, like the Rose Bowl, it has a sponsor. No, it never did. But it has for a few years. I say the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if say Bush's Boca Raton Bowl or Scooter's Coffee Frisco Bowl, but however you do it, those are the games underway and coming your way later on. So, yeah, that Toledo-Louisville game close. We'll see on Western Kentucky and Southern Miss, just a 2.5 spread there down in New Orleans. And then UNLV, about a near touchdown favorite over Ohio at the Star in Frisco, which is the Cowboys' indoor facility and where they have a lot of high school football games and where Big 12 Media Days will be as well coming up once again this summer.
All right, so those are the games, 3 of them, 1 underway, halftime, 7-3 Louisville over Toledo. By the way, in that UNLV game, they're trying to win their 11th game with Dan Mullen. Calandria, the quarterback, with 3,275 yards, 23 touchdowns. And then also Braylon Braxton, who plays for Southern Miss, has nearly 2,800 yards in his season and 23 touchdowns against 7 interceptions. Great news. You remember last spring, one of the big drama stories was what was happening with Nico Iamaleava, the quarterback at Tennessee. Back and forth with that. They finish up spring drills. Next thing you know, he's in the portal, commits and plays for UCLA. And he says he's coming back to play for the Bruins again this year.
Yeah, I didn't know that we were expecting an announcement. Had just really paid attention to UCLA with the whole changeover at coach, and then knew that he would be having to decide at some point what his future looked like. And so a nice surprise to see his message and video that he dropped come out, I guess, at some point yesterday evening, and announcing that he is going to be back in Westwood and back playing for the Bruins, and now with a new coach, obviously, and Bob Chesney. But he did not have the greatest start. Obviously, UCLA, a team that was amongst those that were getting dunked on quite a bit early on in the season, much like North Carolina was. I mean, they were kind of the two most high-profile teams that we were talking about in the most negative ways at the start of the season. But I feel like with the interim and then the changeover at head coach, they kind of turned it around a little bit. At least we're able to grasp some positivity and get a little bit of, I guess, optimism going along. And now you got a new coach. You got your quarterback coming back. So now's as good a time as ever to hope that maybe they can take this thing somewhere pretty cool. But, yeah, for how this year started off for UCLA in getting Nico and all the drama there, and then the season starting and everybody loving to dunk on the fact that he was struggling, to now here we are and he's going to be back, albeit with a new head coach, I think is great news for Bruins fans out there, and also good news for the Big Ten that hopefully UCLA can be a more competitive team next season. And Lord knows that it won't be hard. I mean, to think that
3-9,
to think that one of their wins was against Penn State, and then what that led to, like it's almost like they passed the baton of like, no, now you guys get embarrassed and you guys take the heat of the public. But yeah, they had that big win against Penn State just completely out of nowhere, won a couple more games after that, but really struggled in the beginning and ending of the season. So just 3-9, a lot to improve upon, but this is a great first step. And that's a big quarterback domino when it comes to the draft and when it comes to potentially the transfer portal that you were wondering about. So, yeah, he'll be playing for Chesney and the Bruins.
His high game was 255. He did lead the team with over 500 yards rushing, but, yeah, they need a lot of help, and started out the year getting pummeled by Utah and then UNLV, among others. So there's that one. And then there's A&M. Had the bad weekend with the loss, back-to-back losses to UT, and then, of course, knocked out by Miami. And their most explosive player, neither he or Craver could really ever get much done. Before we do that, here is Nico Iamaleava making the announcement he's coming back at UCLA.
Culture, the Samoan culture, family is the biggest thing to us. It's most important. Being back home and closer to my family. While competing at the highest level, and that's for UCLA.
Nico fires, end zone, touchdown.
Iamaleava flushed out of the pocket. He'll use his legs again, and he's got a first down and a bunch more. They might have one right here. Reaching for the pylon. Touchdown, UCLA.
He's coming back. He will be with the Bruins.
Did you
after
pick that
3-9?
Did you pick that song in the background?
I did. It's from what's the guy's name? I
don't know. I'm almost afraid for you to start just throwing out names.
I threw out a couple of guys. I think that one of them is still in prison or whatever. I won't do that, but I have no idea who that was. It was not MC Hammer, huh?
Yeah. I would hope it's not MC. I mean, my gosh, that's not even like, hey, I'm kind of old, I'm not really hip with it. That's like, come on, that's like 40 years ago. MC Hammer. You could at least say like Dre. Okay, or. Yeah, that works. It could be a number of guys, but what
are you guys laughing at over there?
There's a rapper named Dre, either Dr. Dre or Drake, or we could go. We could go a lot of different directions. But I'm just making sure there.
I did say one that's a little bit more modern, right? So there. Okay, now
I think him with Chesney is going to be interesting to watch, and I don't know. I would have been really curious. I wish that we could somehow get access to the quarterback and even some of the other guys that. Decide to stick around. I wish we could get the reports on what the NFL tells them, because I would be fascinated, especially for the quarterbacks. Like, what did Josh Hoover get told? What did Brendan Sorsby get told? What did Nico Iamaleava get told? And you can see where all those guys can still improve. And you also know, too, that if they're not guaranteed to go very highly, they stand to make more money by returning another year. And I'd imagine Nico, already well compensated, will be even further compensated for sticking around for Chesney in year one. So excited to see what he can do.
I think so. And you wonder, I'm sure Chesney had conversations with Nico and the job was available, wanting to make sure that he was there. A&M wide receiver and also a hell of a return man in Casey Concepcion. He could just not get loose. Nobody could, except the long 50-plus yard run by Mark Fletcher of Miami. He is a spectacular playmaker. 185 catches in his 3 years, 2,700 yards, 28 touchdowns. He is on his way to be a part of the I heard a skid noise. He was on his way to play in the NFL draft.
Yeah, he's a really good special teamer and a good wide receiver as well. So a guy whoever drafts him will be getting a great return man and a receiver that they can utilize in a number of ways as well, depending on what kind of style you're running there. But he was a really effective player for A&M, a huge pickup for them in the portal. And he and Craver made a pretty dynamic duo there for the Aggies. Hopefully he's able to hit the ground running in the NFL and find a good spot for himself. A shame that he just kind of ran out of gas there at the end in College Station. I've been seeing a lot of the conversation, Aggie fans pushing back on those, trying to say the season was a disappointment. I think rightfully so, because you took a big step forward. I think it's also fair for others to look at where you were and then where you finished and say, that's got to be a little bit disappointing that you didn't do this or that or the other. But still, it was a really good year, and Casey Concepcion was a massive part of that year being as good as it was. So, yeah, that's a loss for them. I think A&M will always be able to find some skill guys. They do have Cravers coming back, right? That was official. So that's pretty big that he'll be back along with Marcel Reed. But, yeah, Concepcion's a good player. He was good at NC State before he landed in College Station, and, yeah, I enjoyed watching him.
Yeah, he had a heck of a year, but just Miami's defense and special teams had him and Craver and Marcel Reed and others, especially the running game, wrapped up. Malik Muhammad, this guy has got an edge to him. Heck of a player. I watched a lot. He's a guy that's not afraid to come up and hit somebody. But I thought that this year, and I don't have any grades on him, but I thought that this year he wasn't nearly as active. He does love to play the game. You could see it when he's playing the game. He's now leaving Texas, and he will also be a part of the NFL draft.
They've got hit pretty hard. I mean, we're going to make some picks here a little while later, but of all the teams that have been losing guys to the draft or to coaching changes, I think Texas and perhaps their opponent in Michigan are two of the most heavily hit as far as just kind of who's on our roster as we're going to play this bowl game. I think Texas will still be fine. I mean, some of the guys they're losing are guys who weren't playing as much as they wanted, or maybe positive subtractions culturally, or guys who are just bound for the NFL that you kind of all along expected that if they weren't in the playoff, probably weren't going to be playing in this bowl game against Michigan. So, yeah, Malik Muhammad, a really good player. I think I've seen where he's more of like a day two, like round 2, round 3 type of a guy. I don't know if he's got enough room to make a move into the later half of the first round, potentially in the next few months. I don't know how he's viewed overall other than kind of that loose projection there, but they're going to be losing a lot off that Texas defense. And then again, they did last year and they were just fine. There's obviously going to be a big difference now with the change at DC though. So Will Muschamp has at least one spot. Actually has many others, Anthony Hill leaving and so on and so forth. Michael Taft leaving. There's going to be a lot to replace there. But again, they had a lot to replace last year and managed that pretty well. So I think Muschamp will be fine, but yeah, it's a NFL factory right now down in Austin. When you look at just the number of guys, much like at Georgia, much like in Alabama, where it's just 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 guys like every single year now. And it wasn't that long ago, if y'all guys remember, the year that they didn't get anybody drafted whatsoever.
Yep.
And then there was like a second time that happened, I believe, a few years later. And that has not been the case whatsoever these last 3 years or so, where they've been just churning guys out. So he'll get drafted certainly day 2 at worst, and it's Texas, so they'll find some DBs.
And I do like the fact that he's not afraid to go up and hit somebody. And it had 3 picks in his career. You would have thought maybe more, sometimes because they don't throw his way. Iowa State loses Matt Campbell. We know he's at Penn State. Rocco Beck's in the portal, and there's a few others as well. Defensive coordinator John Heacock, 43 years in the business, known as one of the best defensive coordinators in all of college football. He started his career in Toledo, went through, was it Army, Youngstown State, Indiana, Kent State, ended up at Iowa State the last, almost decade, and he is now retiring after 43 years.
Yeah, did a great job at Iowa State. I mean, he's a big part of the 3-3-5 becoming what it is in the Big 12 and being adopted as it was to try and combat a lot of these spread offenses. And I think pretty much everybody who's in the league adapted to it at some point. But, yeah, he and Matt Campbell did a lot of good for Iowa State, and it's just a really tough time now for everybody in Ames because it's all just falling apart or not falling apart. It's all just leaving in a lot of different directions. And so some to Penn State, some to retirement, some to the transfer portal and to head elsewhere. But a very successful coach who, as you mentioned, had a long career there at Youngstown State. And, I just think right now at Iowa State, everything is expected to change. You just assume that everything's going to be new and fresh and a stranger that you're going to have to get to know after all these past few years of kind of having a very communal staff where they were all around for a very long time, and Matt Campbell was there so much longer than I think people anticipated. And so you saw some people like really emotionally devastated. Like I remember seeing a video of Chris Williams, who covers Iowa State, like bawling, literally like shedding massive tears about the news that Campbell and company were leaving. And to his credit, it wasn't because he's just some super fan who's like, oh my gosh, it's because he knows those people and they've been around a long time and he's friends with a lot of those staffers that are now going to be moving on. And I think they enjoyed covering Matt Campbell, and it was the most successful run in Iowa State history. So this has been an offseason of pretty drastic change, and a guy at this point in his career, retirement's not a surprise, but it's just, again, it's more turnover in Ames, Iowa. And I don't know what to expect moving forward for them after getting so accustomed to Matt Campbell having them at minimum bowl eligible, if not competing for 9-10 wins every year. I do think they made a pretty solid hire on paper with Jimmy Rogers, but there's absolutely no way to tell what to expect from them moving forward with so much in flux right now.
Well, that's why Jamie Pollard, when he was discussing Matt Campbell, was talking about he doesn't know us anything. He's given us more than we could have ever imagined because of the history at Iowa State and what he did during his time there. Haynes King has won the Earl Campbell Tyler Rose Award. This goes to football players in high school that played in the state of Texas or players that have played college ball in Texas, even if they're not out of the state. And that's always something to debate of how it should be, at least like what should be the criteria of where you are, where you're from. And he wins it. Young man from Georgia Tech, was at A&M, transferred to Georgia Tech, and had a hell of a career from Longview High School. This guy, I love watching him play.
Yeah, really happy for Haynes. Congratulations to him. I do want to clarify something you said. Not players in high school, but players who played high school in Texas qualify, or players who play at a Texas college.
That's exactly what I meant, that they had to have played high school football in the state. I didn't
I was just correcting. I was just clarifying kind of what you were saying for those that don't know. The award is not players in high school in Texas or in college, but players in college who played either in high school or are in the state of Texas right now. So Haynes, being a Longview guy, qualifies for the award. And he was a part of a fivesome of Marcel Reed and Kewan Lacey and Cam Cook. And who else am I missing there? I think
Mestamaker.
Drew Mestamaker from North Texas, who are all part of that grouping. And I think Mestamaker gave him a run for his money there at the end. But Haynes King, the winner. And he was a guy who had a really good year. Georgia Tech sliding down the stretch, and as we'll get to a big bowl game with BYU. But I think he's very deserving and great representative of the award, and it will be close to home there with him being a Longview guy and the award based out of Tyler. It's like neighbors with each other, so I know that Earl's probably happy with this, and I think the committee made a really great decision, and Haynes is a deserving player, so congratulations to him.
I just, again, just a phenomenal player, especially since he moved on from A&M, Jimbo. That was not working out. He got injured there, too, and he goes on to have what I think is a spectacular career with Georgia Tech. Now, this thing with USC and Notre Dame flared up again. Initially, the story was these two could not come up with an agreement on when to play the game. It's been being played for decades. And they're going to – I think the rivalry is set to play through 2030. But people start to put together their schedules. USC wanted to play the game earlier in the year. Notre Dame wanted to play the game later in the year. Here are some tweets from, and it's right now, it's going to be off after 2030, from Nicole Auerbach, a slew of tweets. A person with direct knowledge of the communications between the Big Ten confirmed that the Big Ten confirmed that NBC Sports, all 18 schools received the full language of the college football MOU, which was unanimously supported by all current and incoming members in March of 2024, as far as Notre Dame starting in 26. If they're ranked among the top 12 teams in the country, they get a berth in the college football playoff. USC source disputes this, saying that's not what they knew or what they signed, but I guess somebody did. Meanwhile, I saw a few. This is an interesting note. Next year, USC is going to play. Where did I put this? They're going to play Indiana, Ohio State, and Oregon on their schedule, and they have home games against both Washington and Penn State. It's not as if they're like not wanting to play the game. Notre Dame has their reason for not wanting to play the game or not being able to play the game. It sucks because we've seen other great rivalries disappear over the last 3 to 4 years in college football.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate for those that really like this matchup. I know Keyshawn Johnson was outspoken about his distaste with the decision-making on the part of the Trojans. There's been a lot of back and forth and finger-pointing on whose fault it is. USC saying, well, Notre Dame had the option to play this game and chose not to. Notre Dame basically blaming USC and certainly leaning into the narrative that the Trojans and Lincoln Riley are soft and scared, which is something they've kind of created for themselves in some cases over the last few years. I think ultimately it's two teams that should be playing one another, and it should be an annual matchup, but it's not like Notre Dame didn't turn around and schedule BYU as well. So I don't think they're scared of playing tough competition, even though the USC prerogative or the opinion on USC is that they're running away from Notre Dame in some circles that are probably coming from Notre Dame people at the heart of it. But yeah, it's unfortunate. And I hear a lot of people, whether it's Steve Sarkisian or it's USC in this case or whoever, saying all this stuff about the scheduling. Like, well, if we're not going to get credit for our good loss in scheduling Ohio State, then why even play the games? And so it sounds like everybody's just finding reasons to put on the lightest schedule imaginable. But then again, you turn around and you schedule BYU, or you have the Big Ten schedule that USC has, and it seems like it's just a lot of finger pointing and blaming, and I don't really know who to fall back on when it comes to where to really direct the ire of this matchup not happening. So it's not happening. It could happen again in the near future. But for right now, these next few years, they're going to go play other teams, and I think USC will have more than enough quality opponents, and I think Notre Dame will scramble together a good enough schedule to be A-OK as well. And there's this disagreement about the memorandum of understanding. So USC either wasn't asked to sign this or they didn't sign it, is what we're being told to believe, because it seems like they had to sign off on it in some form or fashion to
all 18
allow
schools,
it to then be completed. And so I don't know where that got lost in translation, where they say we didn't do that, but clearly enough people agreed to where Notre Dame is going to have that loophole in the playoff, where if they're ranked in the top 12, they automatically get in. So I would love to know what the communication is like, to where USC says that wasn't something they were aware of.
Well, I don't know how you can't be aware of it. Somebody had to sign it from your school. All 18 teams had to agree on it and sign it. 18 teams did. Whoever did, they can easily just go see the signature. And Keyshawn is furious. And he said, by the way, to his alma mater, if we're just scared, say that. Give us a reason. You don't just end this rivalry the way you do. There were some articles, columns, names, titles of the columns. Nobody runs away like Notre Dame. Notre Dame leaders are cowards for backing out of USC football rivalry. And those are just a couple. And there's others that point the finger at Southern Cal.
Yeah, and I know that there was a big disagreement over the dates they would play early in the season, late in the season, and that was what they were going back and forth on. And so, yeah, I just need more clarity on the I guess it wasn't that USC didn't it wasn't about them signing off on the memorandum of understanding. It's just that I guess they weren't aware of it. Again, I don't know how not every school was aware of that, given that you all had to basically agree on the format, and you're a school that's in the Big Ten, so it's not like you're on the outside looking in. But they have stated that Notre Dame's their Notre Dame advantage that no other school seems to have. These little quirks. It's the one independent that actually benefits from being independent. All the others are having to basically go join conferences at this point, outside of the I guess the rogue, like, random team that's in between certain years and trying to find its way upwards. Notre Dame gets its cake and eats it too, and I think that's a big problem people have, and a lot of people do side with USC here because they don't think that Notre Dame has a fair or they think Notre Dame has an unfair advantage and don't agree with them having that advantage. So I guess USC is going to kind of fall back on, well, join a conference if you want to play us and be treated the same as everybody else. But we know Notre Dame's going to refuse to do that until there's a gun to their head and they have no other choice. So more tradition going to the wayside, but I mean, it's not that surprising at this point.
No, it's not. And it just go look at the signatures, whether USC knew or not. And I hate it because that's one of my favorite games. For some reason, as many games have been played, the one I always remember, living in Japan in, I think, 1972 or 74, USC Notre Dame, listening to the game on the Far East Network at like 3 o'clock in the morning, and Anthony Davis went nuts and scored 6 touchdowns as USC beat Notre Dame. And I just remember that memory, which I can't remember some of what I did today, but I do remember back listening to that great performance in the middle of the night on the Far East Network. Okay, so update on the game that's going on this afternoon right now. Louisville now up 14-3 over Toledo, and there's 3.5 minutes or so left in the fourth quarter. Now, we're going to come back, Garrett. Are we going to do the picks and then the Big 12 schedule? Let's do that. We'll come back and have our college football picks, 5 games that Andrew, right? Andrew, 5 games we picked today, this week. And then we'll come back and also go through the Big 12 schedule with a couple of games this week and also the rest of the way. This is 365 Sports. Don Chumador and Coffee Beans in the Tawas Shopping Center off Valley Mills and Richland Drive in Waco with Cheyenne and Joshua that run it and have been now. They took over and owned it after such a great run with Carol, who I still see every once in a while. She's at Don Chumador and Coffee Beans. They now have a website where you can go on the website. And I had asked her when I went by there 2 or 3 weeks ago, I said, hey, has anyone used the code word? And she actually, Cheyenne, I think, said, no. What are you doing? They put this together for you, the audience, for 365 Sports. Go to DonChumadorWaco.com. Use the code word SMOKEY, SMOKEY, and you get a full 25% off the entire cart of what you buy. I've done it. I ordered that first day it was on or open live, and then went by the next day. I think it was on a Saturday, and picked up a handful of cigars. They have 48-foot walking humidor, Macanudo, Cohiba, Padron, Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel. You want it, they have it. And also, they have fresh coffee beans, CBD products. And if you want, when you start smoking cigars, you got to put them in something. It's called a humidor. They have different sizes. If you travel with cigars, they have Pelican cases that might hold 4 cigars or 20. You also need to light the cigars. They have torch lighters, and they have the cutters. What you need at Don Chumador and Coffee Beans, DonChumadorWaco.com.
Batteries Plus has teamed up with the Dallas Cowboys as the team's official battery recycling partner. Batteries Plus doesn't just sell batteries, they recycle them too. Customers can bring in all lithium batteries from power tools, power banks, and small electronics for a chance to win Cowboys tickets, a VIP experience, and more at qualifying locations. Batteries Plus, the experts in charge.
My go-to guy. Can you fix my smartphone?
Yes.
You have car batteries?
Yeah.
What about golf cart batteries?
Of course.
Battery from a G-Fob?
Absolutely.
My boat?
Huge variety.
Toy boat?
Sure.
Motorcycles?
You bet.
My apartment building?
Whole building.
Do you have batteries for my party lights?
Yeah.
Batteries Plus, the experts in charge.
At Allen Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat, we're proud to be your premier destination in Waco for exceptional automotive service. Whether you're searching for a new vehicle, a quality pre-owned car, or dependable service and parts, our team is here to take care of you every step of the way. Visit Allen Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat in Waco, where great deals, friendly service, and your next ride are waiting. Come by, let's be friends.
Hello, I'm Camille Johnson with Camille Johnson Realtors. We specialize in selling residential real estate agent all across our community, and we love serving all types of families. We have been in business at Camille Johnson Realtors for almost 9 years, and I have been a residential real estate agent for almost 40 years. And we love our partnership with 365. So thank you for partnering with me, and thank you so much to all of my clients who have made our company a success.
You got batteries for my side-by-side?
Yes.
Replace my flashlight?
Sure thing. What about my business?
Ooh, good one.
100%. Batteries for my fleet of trucks?
Gas floor scrubbers?
Yes, and fire panels.
We have pallets of batteries.
Well, what about...
As your go-to guy, if it needs a battery, we have it.
Well, that's all you had to say.
Could have led with that.
Batteries Plus, the experts in charge.
This is 365 Sports.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Remember that, what was it? I was sick as a dog, and I made picks for these games we have today, and I think I should get a chance to have a mulligan. Here are the standings at the end of last week. Craig nudged ahead of me because I had the damn Sooners. Should have known better.
Okay, then I'll do the mulligan from the week before when you gained a game on me. How's that?
So you're up a game. Paul is he's been floundering from day one. Nice record overall if you want to just finish, just outside the playoffs. But here we are. Craig's up one, and here are the games for this week.
Penn State and Clemson at Yankee Stadium in the Pinstripe Bowl, and I'm going to go ahead and take Penn State here. I know it's kind of an off-the-wall sort of pick given that Penn State's in such flux, but Clemson has had an incredible amount of opt-outs. Now, Penn State's lost some guys to opt-outs in the transfer portal as well, but I think that this game is like relatively close. I believe it's like a 3-point spread at this point in time. And I do think that with the Matt Campbell hire and just kind of the newness and the freshness that brings, the excitement that brings for Penn State, but also having Terry Smith there who's been guiding you through this last month. And then the fact that he's going to be sticking around. Like, yes, they're losing some players, but Clemson's losing a whole lot of players too. And they're just kind of uninspiring. Cade Klubnik's expected to play in this game. It's a bowl game, folks. So, like, these bowl games, especially bowl games like this, who the hell really knows? I mean, with all the opt-outs and just coaching changes, like, who the hell knows who wins this game? For some reason, it's just pulling at me. I'm going with Penn State. I feel like they've got a direction, and I just don't have a lot of faith in Clemson at this point in time. So this is a bit of a shot in the dark, given the Tigers are favored, but I'm going to go with the Nittany Lions up in the Bronx.
These games are all crapshoot. There was a time, again, get off my lawn, where you played the bowl game to gain momentum and get those extra practices, and everybody was locked in. It's gone. It's long gone. Clemson did win their last 4 against Florida State, Louisville, Furman, and then South Carolina to close out the year after what was a pretty tough start, of course. And so I'm taking Clemson to win in that game. Paul's pick are the Tigers.
All right, so there's Paul. Let's go on to the next game. Army and UConn in the Fenway Bowl. And right now, Army about 9.5-point favorites. UConn's had a rash of guys enter the portal and guys that will be probably following Jim Mora to Colorado State in some cases, including their star quarterback, Joe Fagnano. And so with all of those departures, give me Army, who's not going to be a team that ever really has to worry about a lot of opt-outs or a lot of lack of focus or taking things for granted. I feel like that if there's a sturdy thing in bowl season these days, it's probably the service academies. So I think the spread speaks for itself. I didn't know the spread when I made the pick, actually, and then I saw it, and I was like, okay, well, I feel like I made a pretty good pick then. Give me Army in the Bad Boy Mowers Pinstripe Bowl against the Huskies, who are very much in transition right now.
Yeah, they are. It's a bad pick by me. Shame on me if I lose this thing in the end or I don't catch up. It's on me. I just I wasn't even looking at the spread either. And Army, of course, coming off a down-to-the-wire game with Navy, had a bad second half in that game, but they're so fundamentally strong. And I took UConn. I did, not thinking much about the spread, which is 9 points, and so I'll take the Huskies.
Yes, and then Paul, who's who's on extended break. He's got Army as well. So there you go. Army Black Knights for Paul Catalina. But on to the next one as we roll through here, these handful of games, San Diego State and North Texas. And I'm telling you, I'm just going shot in the darks here in bowl season and expecting the unexpected. And I don't think this is a totally unexpected or bad pick or anything. I think there's probably plenty of people out there picking San Diego State. If this was all straight up and this was just a matter of head-to-head, I think it'd be a very competitive game. But I think I would go with North Texas, just given the overall season they had. Now with no Eric Morris, it does look like Drew Mestemaker is going to play in this game, and I don't know about the total health of the team, but I'm going to go San Diego State and Sean Lewis, a really good coach. They've had a nice year. UNT 3.5-point favorites here. Should be a pretty even matchup in what is the New Mexico Bowl, in case I didn't mention that. But, yeah, North Texas trying to win their 12th game, but Morris off to Stillwater now, and then San Diego State looking for win number 10. North Texas is pretty heavily favored in the matchup predictor, but I just look at this and I think San Diego State having a bit more of the the standard versus a team that's a little bit in flux. That's what I lean on in a couple of these picks here during bowl season.
Yeah, UNT is favored, but this is one of those with all the changes. I'll take UNT despite Eric Morris and company. I'll tell you this: they're 11-2. But they did not play well at all against Tulane, at all. I watched that game because I was at a hotel waiting to go cover the Big 12 championship game the next morning, and I was like, man, they don't look good, and Tulane looked good. Give them credit, but so I'll still take North Texas.
And then Paul takes North Texas as well. All right, on to the next one, Iowa and Vanderbilt, and this ought to be a hell of a game. I'll tell you what, for everybody bemoaning bowl season, I know the playoff has a lot to do with it because now you have a lot of teams who otherwise would be playing in regular bowl games. But, man, you can feel it. There's not a lot of games. I don't know about – I mean, for the sickos, all of these games are great. You love seeing the messiness and the low attendance and the weird sponsors and all that. And I do as well to an extent. But I do find that there's a lot of these matchups that aren't quite as appealing. And maybe it's just because there's this playoff or bust mentality right now. But this one I do think is very appealing, and I think a lot of people will tune in for this one. Iowa and Vanderbilt in the ReliaQuest Bowl down at Tampa's Raymond James Stadium. This will be 11 o'clock on Wednesday the 31st, so a week from tomorrow this game will be played. And I'm going to go Iowa. Vanderbilt, I saw last I looked, Eli Stowers not playing in this game, it appears. You will have Pavia, and you will have, I think, most of the team around him still. Obviously, a great year for the Commodores, but it's another one just in bowl season. Like, give me, like, the kind of sturdy, nerdy thing. I mean, for lack of a better term, give me, like, just kind of the thing I feel like I can count on during this disruptive time period, and Iowa is just a steady ship, and Iowa, a little bit of improvement offensively, top 25 team in their own right, had a really nice year looking for win number 9, finished the season with a couple of wins. Granted, it was against a Michigan State team that replaced their coach in Nebraska, which, you know, is not quite what it was, but their losses, they lost to Indiana, they lost to Oregon, they lost to Southern Cal, all top 25 losses, and they lost the second game of the year, Cyhawk, in the really close contest with what at the time was a top 20 Iowa State team. So I think this is a pretty good Iowa team. I think this will be a great matchup, and I'm probably making a bit of a risky choice here. Let me see what that spread is. Last I looked, it was Vanderbilt favored, but
that game?
Yeah, I'm just seeing what the latest is. Vanderbilt's 5.5-point favorite, so I'm taking a little bit of a risk, but I'm going with Iowa here.
I am too. I understand Vanderbilt had a heck of a year, and they'll be fine. This ought to be I just like the way Iowa, you mentioned the losses, their schedule, and who they played and who they lost to by 3, 5, and then by 2 and 5 against teams, all of them, I believe, except, they were all ranked when they played. And so Iowa 8-4 is a lot better than it seems like their record says. I take the Hawkeyes to win this game.
Yeah, I mean, at the same time, Vanderbilt lost 2 games, and they're both the top 25 teams in Texas and Alabama. So it translates both ways. But, yeah, I'm going to go with Iowa as a bit of an underdog here.
All right, what does Paul say? He takes Vanderbilt. All right?
All right, on to the next one, and it is Texas and Michigan, and this game as well, Camping World Stadium in Orlando. It's been a lot of different bowl matchups, and I believe Camping World where the Jaguars are going to be playing while they get their stadium refurbished, restored, what have you. They got a stadium project that's going to be going on, so I think Camping World's where they'll be playing if I'm remembering correctly, but a massive amount of opt-outs. We talked about Malik Muhammad earlier for Texas, but on both sides with Michigan's coaching situation and just NFL prospects, they've had a bunch of guys that have declared for the draft. I don't think as many as Texas has in total when you take into account transfers as well. But yeah, it's a great brand matchup on paper. I mean, Arch Manning will still be playing in this game. You'll still have some star power, Bryce Underwood. That matchup alone will sell tickets for this one, and so would the logos. But yeah, I do think that the Texas is going to be missing along with Michigan quite a bit. So with that in mind, I'm still going to go Texas. They had the better year. They were the better team. They've got the sturdier situation once again, given all that Michigan's dealing with. Biff Poggi just trying to hold that thing together, and they're still just trying to find a freaking head coach, which they still have not done, and I wonder if they have done by the time we return from Christmas break. So give me Texas.
I take the Longhorns. I think with Arch playing, obviously Underwood, Michigan. I love Biff Poggi, man. It's a guy who's like a multimillionaire. He even admitted some of the things that were going on and the mess or whatever, but he felt like he could kind of tighten the ship for the game. But I'm taking the Horns to win that game against. And when that game was announced, you're like, wow, that's going to be in two mega alpha dog logos. But you just wonder about how this thing ends up. I'll take the Horns.
And Paul will take Texas as well. So there you go. There are our picks for week 17 in bowl season. So you and I have 1, 2, 3 differences. So you could overtake me. But yeah, I'm taking a couple of risks there. I mean, I think you made probably the worst pick with UConn over Army at this point. I mean, on paper, that's the one that's probably the bad pick that could cost you. But then again, I made a couple of riskier choices as well with Penn State and San Diego State. And then Paul could definitely gain some ground.
It's just nice. There's a lot of different logos. It's not like BYU down the left-hand side. Yeah.
Or Texas Tech against BYU when the conference championship games, we were a little bit split. But yeah, for bowl season, I mean, who the hell knows? So I guess the only unanimous is BYU and Texas on here. And the rest of it will be, I guess, what decides. Well, we'll do playoff games, right, still. So we still have another couple pick'ems to go with the remainder of the CFP. But here's what we have for Christmas break. So there you go. There's our week 17 bowl season pick'ems.
Now, those are the pick'ems. And we look at the Big 12 as they begin, of course, their trek into the bowl season. And there are games for us to analyze. And first, right off the top, is that BYU game against Georgia Tech. At the very top, Houston playing LSU. Good games here. I like those first set of games. But, Craig, Georgia Tech and BYU, and who has the most bruises? Who will be in the ice tub the longest at the end of that game?
Yeah, so we're going to be gone after today, but we'll be back. I'll for sure be back, I think, Tuesday. I don't know yet about Monday.
I'll be here Monday.
Yeah.
Garrett and we'll be here Monday. And we're going to have a special feature on Friday's show at 3 o'clock. We'll tell you a little bit about that. Be a shortened type setup. We'll give you that in a moment. But, yeah, we'll be back full throttle. I will be here on Monday.
So really only 2 games that are going to take place while we're gone in the league, and that is BYU, Georgia Tech, and Houston, LSU. And the rest of them we can kind of dive further into next Monday or Tuesday, depending on our arrangement. But, yeah, Georgia Tech, BYU, another one of those like Iowa and Vanderbilt, where it's a real gem that's a non-CFP game in the bowl season. And I'm really looking forward to this game. I think having – it in the Pop-Tarts Bowl is even better. That's a game that really it's funny because we bemoan all of the corporatism and everything that's going on with college football, and yet we rave over the Pop-Tarts Bowl, which is much like capitalism and marketing and buy Pop-Tarts as ever, but they do it in such a fun and entertaining and quirky way that we love it. And so to have this matchup and this game, I think is some of the best stuff you're going to find during bowl season, and I'm looking forward to this one, also at Camping World Stadium there in Orlando. But give me BYU in this game. They're slight favorites, I think 4.5 points, so not quite slight, but they're solid favorites here. we're going to see, I think, the full meal deal. I'm sure on the opt-outs for both of these teams as a whole, but I'd expect new Earl Campbell Award winner Haynes King going to be playing in this game. Bear Bachmeier, hopefully a bit healthier than when we last saw him, is playing in this game, and we'll see by the time we arrive to this Saturday. But yeah, I think this will be a real slobber knocker, to borrow a term from Jim Ross. And I said when this was first announced, it was supposed to be Notre Dame BYU, obviously, and then Notre Dame bails out because they had their feelings hurt and were in mourning and pissed. And so Georgia Tech rolls in and I think makes it an even grittier matchup than it was to begin with. And I'm looking forward to this one. I think for BYU to have the opportunity to get that taste of Texas Tech and those two losses out of their mouths, the only two losses of the year, and to finish with 12 wins, be 12-2 would be a massive accomplishment. Georgia Tech's looking for their 10th win of the season to send Haynes King and the rest of the seniors out on a high note. And I just think this will be a hell of a physical football game. I do lean BYU. I just think they're a better all-around team. I think they're going to be able to, for the most part, defend pretty well against Haynes King and the run. Like that at times has been a weakness for them, and obviously it's a real strength for Georgia Tech, but I do feel like sometimes Georgia Tech's very one-dimensional. And so I'm taking BYU and just their plethora of continuity and also just really good defense and that spark plug there at quarterback. So give me the Cougars here.
I'll take BYU. I look forward to this game. When I looked at the matches, probably out of how many games, 20-something or whatever games, 30 games, I think maybe 5. I guess taking out some of the college football playoff matchups or potential matchups, there are like 5 of the bowl games, and this is one of them. The Vanderbilt-Iowa game was one we mentioned, but this is one of my favorites to watch and can look forward to it.
And I think that it's a huge deal for BYU post-Satake, the post-extension, to now have all that behind you and to just know what the future looks like and to be able to go and just take everything by storm now with no fears of somebody coming and poaching your head coach. Not even a Penn State can pull him away. You've got the renewed money that's going to be coming your way as far as the donations that now everybody to keep Satake in part ponying up even further to help out his assistant coaching staff and their NIL game. And that's not going to affect this game, obviously, but I do think you win 12, then you go into an off season where you're going to have more money to spend and you're going to have this new contract for Satake and his staff to play off of. And Texas Tech's obviously the team that people look at and they think, okay, well, if things stay status quo, they're going to be like the crown jewel of the Big 12 potentially. But I think BYU's right in that conversation as well with the advantages that they'll have. So to win a game here is not a must, but I do think it would be a great push into the offseason, given that for Georgia Tech, it is going to be the post-Haynes King era the next time we see them.
Absolutely. So there we are. And, of course, we mentioned that he won the Earl Campbell Tyler Rose Award earlier in the hour. Houston and LSU. Garrett Ross and his Go Tigers, and LSU 7-5 coaching change. Kiffin's there. Kelly's out. Staff has been back and forth with, of course, Ole Miss. And Willie Fritz and company just keep chopping wood and getting a little bit better. Couple of losses they'd like to have back, but I would think they are locked in for this game.
Yeah, I mean, if Houston's not locked in, I don't know what the hell they're doing. They're Houston. They're not Alabama, and even Alabama gets up for LSU. So I would hope that they are keyed in as much as you possibly could be because this is a big opportunity. Baylor had this opportunity a year ago to beat LSU, got down early, tried to rally, and it wasn't enough there at the end. A couple calls don't go their way, and they can't complete the comeback, and you left with a bit of a deflating feeling. LSU probably feeling they should be in bigger bowl games with all due respect to the Texas Bowl because it is a really good bowl game, but they are obviously chasing CFPs. So for LSU, I think they have the momentum behind them of what Frank Wilson's interim, right? Garrett, I was going to ask you your opinion on this game.
Yeah, Frank's the interim right now before heading to Ole Miss.
Yeah, before going to Ole Miss, and then you're going to obviously have all of the background of Kiffin and all of that. So I think LSU is going to use this as a nice transition game from last season to the new era of Lane Kiffin and company. I don't know what to expect as far as the game goes. I mean, Houston's going to have their, I would guess, full disposal. LSU last year, we saw half the team sat out this game. So I'll defer to Garrett here. I mean, I think I lean LSU because it's just overall you even without guys, you still have more talent. But it's Houston. I don't think they have some crazy home field advantage here, especially not with LSU, who's going to have plenty of fans as well. But Houston is a 2.5-point favorite. So what are your thoughts on this game?
So initially I was with you. Like when this first got announced, I was with you. I thought LSU could just out-talent them regardless of who was on the field because you knew there were going to be opt-outs. But the more I've thought about this and the more I've looked at the situation, this reminds me so much of the year that they met Kansas State with Deuce Vaughn his senior year. And just Kansas State dismantled them. LSU went in there. They had no team. You had no coaching staff. And I know that video went viral a couple of weeks ago from the LSU player talking about, we don't care how many guys we'll have. We'll go play in a bowl game. To me, that's dumb. Like, to me, this game is the dichotomy of college football right now because you have LSU who literally – I called Mike Scarborough earlier in the week. We were talking about article ideas this week because I help him with TigerBait.com. And I asked him, I said, Mike, do you want me to do anything with this game regarding Houston? I've been covering them all year for the Big 12 newsletter. Nobody down here cares. The game, it's irrelevant. So you're in a situation where – and I'm an LSU fan, so I get this because to me the season's been over. Like it just doesn't matter. You didn't make the playoff, and I'm probably part of the problem with this. I probably am, but you didn't make the playoff. That's the standard. So I don't care about this game. From a Houston perspective, I hope Houston beats the crap out of them. And I think Houston is looking at it as you have an opportunity to go in here, win a 10-win season, which for them is miraculous, honestly, given the standards coming into this, and everybody's all on board. It means the world to Houston. LSU doesn't give a damn about this.
Yeah.
And so I think it's kind of where we're at with college football, the different standards that programs face and the different fan bases and how they view this game. It's a bigger issue. I think it kind of goes into the G6 scenario if you want to dive a little bit further. But I think at the end of the day, Houston gets the win. I think they carry the momentum. I love that they have Keyshawn Henderson and those guys out there practicing this week, and they're going to be able to suit up. I think that's going to mean a lot to them going forward. But it's just a weird situation where you have some games, the Soul Bowls, where it can mean the world to one team and nobody gives a damn from another, and that's just kind of where we're at right now.
I wonder how many eventual sponsors of bowl games will just say screw it.
You're going to have to. At some point, somebody's going to – it's not worth the money anymore.
You might have 18,000 or whatever. Not you have more for that.
Well, I mean, the LA Bowl is going to the wayside, and I'm sure there will be others that follow at some point as well. So, I mean, this one, I definitely think it means a great deal more to Houston than it does to LSU. So, Houston might be the good pick here, but certainly it's LSU. So like last year, we didn't think they cared much and they ended up still winning the game. So it wouldn't be a shock if they were to win this one, but it's a great opportunity. If you're looking at it from a Big 12 perspective, it's a great opportunity for Houston to have a win against LSU on their resume, and to have 10 wins under Willie Fritz would be a great accomplishment for them.
All right. So there's those two games. And again, we'll be gone for, I'll have that special interview that we'll discuss in a minute on Friday and then come back Monday's show. But those are the first two games, the Big 12, a lot of moving parts. Who knows what to expect, but those are the first two games. And I like both of the matchups, even though LSU seems to be kind of tuned out because of all the moving parts. Well, let's see, a week from today is the Alamo Bowl. TCU and USC.
No Josh Hoover.
No Hoover, yep.
Jade Mayaba signed his contract extension, which is a stupid thing to say in college football, but that's college football in 2025. So USC clearly with the quarterback advantage. And I think that they're just a better team this year as well. So a fun name game on paper down in San Antonio at the Alamo Dome. That'll be an easy trip for the Frogs and a fun enough trip for SoCal fans, depending on kind of your flavor. And if you enjoy just drinking a lot of beer and walking past a somewhat dirty river, depending on what part of it you're on, or a really dirty river, depending on what part of the river walk you're on. But I don't know. I have fun in San Antonio, so I think plenty of SoCal fans will have fun down there as well. And I know TCU fans that know the area. So, that's a nice game on paper, but the Hoover news definitely takes a lot of the air out of that one for sure.
All right, then you have the following day, a week from tomorrow, New Year's Eve, Arizona State and Duke. A couple of interesting stories because Arizona State coming off the Big 12 title, the appearance in the quarterfinals, and they just never could get going. They had the nice win against Texas Tech, but they just kind of hit and miss. Levitt in and out, then he's gone, and all the stuff that was going on with Dillingham. I got a feeling he'll have them locked. I'm using that too much. He'll have them ready. Is it going to be enough? Duke 8-5 with the ACC championship year, but they just kind of like, oh yeah, they won the ACC title.
I mean, that was the ACC this year. It's like, oh yeah, well they did that, huh? And then Miami won a playoff game, and it kind of turned the narrative on its head a little bit. Had they lost in College Station last weekend, I think the ACC would have had one of the worst years imaginable, or had been blocked out of the playoff entirely, as they should have been. Then it would have been one of the worst years imaginable. But here's Miami in the second round, so kind of saving them in a way. But I mean this whole bowl season, it was hard to predict, even when the teams were putting all their best efforts into it. You just have these random matchups. But now, especially when you have no idea kind of what's in play for both sides, and in this case, Sam Leavitt out obviously for Arizona State, completely out of their school directory at this point, and I guess going to announce soon where he's going to play his football. Good news for Arizona State is they basically were managing without him the last month of the season anyways with Jeff Sims. Give me Arizona State, I guess, in this game. I know we're not really making picks here. We're just kind of going over the schedule moving forward, but I'm somewhat intrigued by this. I mean, watching that ACC championship game, that was a lot of fun. Duke was a great story. I didn't feel like I was watching incredibly good football, but I know there's some Duke fan that watched Arizona State this year and probably wasn't impressed by whatever Big 12 matchup he saw. Duke is 3-point favorites. So,
yeah,
I'll check this out. But, I guess I lean Duke a little bit just because with Mensa coming back and that being all official, maybe they're a little bit more what they were during the season than Arizona State at this point.
Are we now also in this age with the portal and all of that Sam Leavitt could have walked on water and had his name put on the stadium at the end of last year, and then here we are now. It's like you're right. He just kind of evaporated from the program.
Well, I mean, I don't know about any player's name going on a stadium. I know you're saying that somewhat tongue-in-cheek, but
absolutely was tongue-in-cheek.
I don't think that – well, yeah, I know. Yeah, I get it. So I think that he was a guy by the end of it that left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths, so they have every right to not want his name on the stadium or wherever else. And I think he left some good memories and left some good wins and helped propel them to get to where they're a team that's in that second tier but capable of being that top tier. Clearly won the Big 12 last year, due in part to him. But yeah, I mean, the exit is less than gracious, and it's just the messiness of college football now. So yeah, I don't think they're going to be selling Sam Leavitt jerseys in Tempe for a while, and I don't blame them whatsoever. This is also not the school that he started off with to begin with. He started off at Michigan State, so I don't think he owes them anything either. It's just the very much transaction based business that this has become, and guys move to and fro all the time. And so, yeah, it sucks that you can't just buy that Sam Leavitt jersey and have that and feel like you can hold on to it for forever. But that's the game now. So it sucks. But go buy the Jeff Sims jersey, because he's definitely going to finish his career as a Sun Devil.
Jeff Sims ended up, even though he had some sort of overs, God bless him for doing what he could do. Arizona State, Duke. Okay, we'll be back next week to discuss the rest of the schedule in the Big 12. Coming up, Shahan Jaraja. Also around the corner, we'll have Craig's and Off the Radar. Tim Brando will join us today at 4:25. We have a lot to get to. Do appreciate your time. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't ever subscribed to the channel. We'd appreciate that. And hit the like button, too. This is 365 Sports.
Waco Custom Marketplace.
Waco Custom Marketplace. Brian Bauer, why drop by? They have two locations on Lake Air Drive. They have Waco Custom Marketplace, which is the full-service butcher shop and the full-service bakery. Butcher shop, they'll cut the steaks the way you want them. I call about every 3 months and say, hey, I want 4 or 5, 6 bone-in ribeyes. Really nice, thick, 1.25 bone-in ribeyes. And they cut them for me exactly the way I want, and I can usually go by there in about an hour and pick them up. And then I always get like 4 really thick fillets, too, and bacon-wrapped fillets. That's what they'll do for you if that's what you want. Cut your steaks the way you want them and the kind of steaks you want. And then on top of that, the knickknacks, the marinades, the seasonings. If you want, they have a tub of tri-tip and brisket if you want to do something on the smoker there. Lobster tank if you want live lobsters as well. And then the bakery loaded up with all the sweets and treats and all the things you want. It's Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
With over 25 years of excellence in IT, Carrion Solutions is your trusted technology partner. From managed IT services to cutting-edge cybersecurity, our expert team delivers tailored solutions that drive success. Our portfolio includes products such as Veeam, Bitdefender, Microsoft, Cisco, and Fortinet. Call David Carrion and his team of experts. Call 888-522-2221 or visit us at carrionsolutions.com.
At BK4, we step onto the field every day for our customers. Here, legends are born and glory is earned. The spirit of competition unites us all as we stand as one. It's more than a truck, it's a passion. Get ready for the thrill, the triumphs, and the unforgettable moments that only BK Ford can deliver. Are you ready to experience better? BK Ford.
Established in 2007 and independently owned, Alliance Bank Central Texas is committed to helping families and businesses meet their financial goals. From their tellers to their board of directors, they know the importance of superior service and competitive products. Customers have confidence knowing that their financial needs are in good hands. It's your bank, Alliance Bank Central Texas, with 2 Waco locations, 4721 Bosque Boulevard and 191 Archway Drive on Highway 84, and at alliancebanktexas.com. Member FDIC and equal housing lender.
So it's football season, and we can create your outdoor tailgating spaces that is actually a part of your home. Bifold doors that tie in the inside and the outside, and you can gain anywhere from 1,000 to 5,000 square feet living space, all while taking in the big game poolside. Call us at Gather & Co. Kitchen and Bath, where we can create your unique tailgating space.
This is 365 Sports. Check out the 365 Sports family of channels on YouTube.
We're back, 365 Sports, to start this 4 o'clock hour. Shahan Jaraja joins us, CBS Sports. Craig Smoak. I'm David Smoak. And we started with Shahan. Hey, by the way, Shahan, thanks for your time. I know it's a condensed week. It's for us, too. And thanks for being here throughout the football season. Hope to have you during the playoff, too. So let's look back at the first weekend. Yeah, there were a couple of duds. There was Miami A&M that was like a rock fight, and then all of a sudden it got crazy. And then you had the game Alabama and Oklahoma. What were your thoughts when Alabama was down 17-0 on Friday evening?
Well, I just couldn't believe that it was happening again the way that it did before, right? Because Oklahoma in that first matchup as well was really able to goad Alabama into some big-time mistakes. It was a huge part of how they won the game despite finishing with just about half as many yards as Alabama. I didn't really expect for Oklahoma to actually have the better offensive day and lose the game. That wasn't necessarily something, a way that I saw it going. But, you know, for Alabama, I mean, this has just been a team that has been so mistake prone. They've struggled to run the ball at a high level. And Oklahoma, I think, has had really good game plans of how to deal with that Alabama offense. Now, they weren't able to keep it going for 4 quarters. And I think that Alabama's staff did a really good job of adjusting and creating some running lanes and things like that. But I think for Oklahoma, you have to look back and really feel like, man, we let one get away there.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. I mean, the ebbs and flows of that. I mean, just that late second quarter, Shahan, it just all fell apart. And I still don't know what the punter was doing. I don't know what Mateer saw on the interception, the pick six. It's just like, man, just boom, like that. Everything just unfurled for them in record time.
No, it was crazy. And I mean, this Oklahoma special teams unit has frankly been the unsung hero of their season in 2025. I mean, it's crazy. It just kind of fitting for how crazy that game was that Tate Sandell, who has been arguably the best kicker in college football in 2025, missed 2 kicks at the end of the game that would have given them a chance to potentially go and cut it to 1 score. Like, this is just the sort of thing that you don't see very often if you're Oklahoma. I mean, so it was just a weird game. I mean, for that to happen too in front of the home crowd like that, I don't think is what anybody expected. Like, you sort of figured if they were going to lose this game, it was going to be a poor offensive showing. And while it wasn't a great offensive showing, and a pick six certainly doesn't help, they did enough to win. It really was the defense and special teams that was just a little bit below what they've been.
I thought Alabama's defense in the second half got after, obviously, Mateer at Oklahoma. And we haven't really seen that explosiveness from them to get after the quarterback very much, even when they've won games. Do you think something just all of a sudden clicked the moment or what?
Well, I think that for Alabama, like, they have these moments where it feels like they're really kind of sitting back on their heels waiting, and then they have the moments where they trigger. And you really would like to see them be in that second phase just a little bit more. And I think that that's been a struggle, frankly, across the Kalen DeBoer era. I think that this defense, they like to play aggressive, right? I think that you see that they look more comfortable when they're playing aggressive. I was struck, a player who I think is a big time, prospect for them is Keon Keeley. He was the number 2 player in the country just, I think, 2 years ago. You saw him trigger on a sack. That was a huge moment, I think, for this Alabama defense. You saw the safeties get involved. You saw, of course, the pass rush start to get home. Like, I think that they just looked a little more comfortable playing aggressive. And Kane Womack, the defensive coordinator over there, has had a lot of success in his career. But I think that for Alabama to really feel confident, like, they need to take a few more chances, frankly, on defense, because I think sitting back and trying to make good tackles in space, that frankly cost them a lot in that first half.
So, Shahan, then on Saturday in College Station, a windy affair and a very low-scoring affair, 0-0 at halftime, and then 10-3 when all was said and done, and A&M, the big Marcel Reed interception there, with a chance to go tie or win the game. It's very similar to Oklahoma in that both teams that ended up losing at home feel like they had great years and took steps forward, but there's also like, man, what did we leave on the table? I think particularly with A&M. But your thoughts on Miami? They got this life raft thrown their way. They took full advantage of it, and now they move on. But what do you kind of look at from both sides for both teams?
Well, to start with Texas A&M, I mean, I had somebody ask me on the radio the other day, like, is this season now like a failure for Texas A&M because they lost their 2 biggest games against Texas in the playoff? And the answer is no, right? We have to have a full season view of this. They won 11 games. They started 11-0 for the first time since 1994. Like, this was a historic season. This was a great season for them. But they kind of come as close as you can come to having a really, really historic season, and it's still feeling pretty bad. And I think for them to have that no-show on offense that they had, I mean, it's just not what you expected, right? I think that, certainly the wind played a big role in the limited passing game, but like Texas A&M was tripling them in yardage for most of the first half, and they were just not able to get it into the end zone or even through the upright, right? They had a blocked field goal. They had the fumble deep in Miami territory. They had an interception later. Like, it's all these little mistakes that added up and ultimately led them to having 0 points. And, so if you're Texas A&M, like, yeah, you're happy with the fact that you made the playoff, but you're not happy with the showing that you left with. And for Miami, I mean, look, this is all house money from this point. And I think that you saw, especially on defense, this was a Miami team that looked reinvigorated. There are 2 players that I really want to point to in that. One is Ruben Bain, the defensive end from Miami, who obviously through the first month of the season looked like the best player in college football. He cooled off a little bit, but in this game, he had a sack and a half. He was hugely disruptive. And then the other one is Keontae Scott, a cornerback who was out for most of the latter part of November. He came back and was huge, both as a blitzer and as a coverage man. I mean, this is a team that I think looks like they have what it takes to give Ohio State some trouble. Does that mean that they'll win? Not necessarily, but I think we're in for a pretty good game in Arlington.
What was it like, Shahan, to see some of the old guys? Obviously, Michael Irvin goes to wherever Miami seems to go, but some of the names from Miami past getting back involved in the sidelines like maybe the days of old.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a cool thing. And, look, when you're the University of Miami, like, you have no choice really but to lean into the swagger, right? Because, like, that's what this program has been defined by for so many years. There are different versions of it at different schools, right? I think at Alabama, it's like the prestige that comes through with the guys who come back to town. Well, for Miami, like, these older guys really have a lot of stake in the program. And I think that it's really fitting that Mario Cristobal is the head coach over there, because he is, of course, a player who was on some of those national championship teams, but I think he's also very modern as well. I think he kind of bridges that gap in a lot of ways. Like, he's not somebody who's, down laying on the sideline like Michael Irvin, but he's also, I think, able to kind of embrace that and control that in some ways as well. I think it's kind of been a perfect fit for that perspective. I mean, the thing that I don't think that people understand about Miami too is, like, when it isn't popping, like, people don't care necessarily. Like, it's a program that's easy to kind of get forgotten about when they're not playing with that sort of edge. I think that the fact that this is really starting to come back, I think it says a lot about how they're seen right now in Southern Florida.
And so that was the entire first round of the playoffs, right? No, there were a couple of other games, and it was I've just been referring to it as the worst case scenario for the group of 5 or the group of 6 school, Shahan. Just 2 blowouts, non-competitive games outside of like JMU's opening drive, basically. This is what we feared could happen and kind of expected could happen. We've heard all the back and forth on the inclusion and everything like that. And I think you've talked about it with us, but what were your thoughts coming out of all of the talk after those blowouts this past weekend and just the big picture discussion of the college football playoff setup?
Yeah, to me, it's just all been silly, right? So first of all, I mean, people are blaming the group of 5 for this. Well, the reality is the ACC produced a champion that was 7-5. Like, there's nothing that you can do that pays attention in any way to conference championships that accounts for this. If the ACC produces a champion, that's not a good team. And that, by the way, lost head to head to one of these teams in Tulane, right? There's nothing you can do about that. The other piece of this as well is that I think that I think that it's a big part of this discussion that 2 of the first 4 teams left out of the playoff are Texas and Notre Dame. And people are just like, well, those teams could have done X or Y. Well, like, let's keep in mind through all of this, right? Notre Dame was ranked behind the Oklahoma team that gave up a huge lead to Alabama. They were ranked behind the Texas A&M team that scored 3 points in their first round game. Like, I think that people have just such selective memories about this. And my perspective on postseasons in general has always been, when the field is picked, it's over. You can't go in and try to say, well, the games would have been better if we made this different choice. We should have picked a different postseason. Like that's just silly to me, because the reverse is also true, right? I mean, last year, for example, we have Tennessee as a 9 seed against Ohio State as an 8 seed. Well, that doesn't mean that Tennessee didn't belong in the field. That just means that they lost the game by a lot. TCU a couple of years ago against Georgia, they lose 65-7. Well, they also beat Michigan. That doesn't mean that they didn't deserve to be there. So I hate the revisionist history that people have about this sort of stuff in college football. Like we should have, if we go back and, we should have changed everything so that we only got perfect results, because the reality is that's not how any postseason works. That's not how any sport works. And to me, I think it's just really a bad faith argument at the end of it all.
Yeah. Again, when it was 17-0 Oklahoma, it was like, Alabama, they got in, and then they end up winning it. A lot of, what do they call, old takes exposed or whatever.
Yeah, freezing cold takes, all that.
Yeah. Back to A&M for a second. They had this 11-0 record. They go into their rival, who we always know has been able to just take them. There's a stretch where they won a few back with R.C. Slocum, et cetera. But and then they get knocked out in the first round. Offense was just nothing. They're getting better, but how much better, Shahan? Do you feel like Elko will get them to the next step? 11-2, almost everybody would accept that, but not the way the season ended.
Yeah, I mean, so I think that there's a couple things to keep in mind, right? First of all, this is year 2 under Mike Elko. I mean, the fact that he was able to get them to this level this quickly, I think says a lot about where they are. I think that also they're still a flawed team, and I think that everybody would acknowledge that, including in that building. So the question now becomes, okay, you've done a good job. You've recruited good recruiting classes over the past 2 or 3 years. You've got guys who fit your program and fit your system. And I think more than anything, you have proven that you can bring in guys from the transfer portal who really fit what you do, and you can be smart about it. Because Casey Concepcion and Mario Craver were not, tier 1 guys in the transfer portal, and both ended up being All-American. So the question becomes this: can you rebuild in the trenches, because they're set to lose at least 3 starters to the NFL on the offensive line? Can you find another big-time pass rusher, with Cassius Howell also expected to leave? And also, I think that the biggest thing as well is, can you continue to elevate that defense, especially in the middle? Because you look at those 2 losses to Miami and Texas, they got run all over in those games, and they got run all over up the middle in that Miami game. That's not where you want to be if you're a Mike Elko defense. So I think that they certainly are heading in the right direction. I think that you look at what they've got, what they bring back. I mean, they're going to be really, really good in 2026. But I think that ultimately, for them to take that step, they need to take some of those guys that they've brought in over the last 2 years and start to really develop them to playing at a high level.
So Shahan, Sam Levitt jumped in the portal. We don't know where he's going just yet. There's some arrows pointing in certain directions, but Rocco Becht enters the portal now. Won't be surprised to see if he follows Matt Campbell. Brendan Sorsby, a lot of smoke that he could end up out in Lubbock. Josh Hoover, sounds like he's got maybe his spot picked out. But what do you make of the narrative about the Big 12 quarterback concerns, that you have a crop of guys who are all eligible to come back, who are proven, and who, for money reasons or coaching reasons, are all exiting? Now, Sorsby could still end up right back in the league, so I guess that kind of negates him. But do you think this is an actual issue to be mindful of or concerned about, or do you think it's just this is how it is for everybody?
Yeah, I think that for all those guys, because, by the way, every guy that you mentioned pretty much had the option to leave last year, and they didn't. I think that I think that players, yes, obviously money is a consideration for them, but I think that opportunity and station is actually a much bigger part of it, right? Because I think of a player like Josh Hoover, for example. Josh Hoover was pursued by a lot of schools, including Tennessee last year, decided to stay put. Well, I think that he feels like maybe he reached his ceiling at TCU, that there's not a whole lot more that he can do or more that he can grow while at TCU, especially after losing his offensive coordinator. So, I think that when you view it in that context, it's sort of, okay, well, maybe it's just time to move on. The Levitt thing is a little bit of a weirder thing. That might just be a straight up money play, right? Because I think he's going to have some great opportunities, LSU, Miami, Oregon, that type of level. But, again, same deal with Brendan Sorsby. He comes in at Cincinnati. He comes back for another year, has a really good year, but also might feel like, okay, well, we're graduating a lot of our production this year. Maybe it's time for me to try something new. So I think that everybody's going through it to an extent, right? You even see, obviously, at Florida, DJ Lagway's heading out. We've seen it other places. This is not an unusual thing, no matter what level that you're at. And especially, I think, at the quarterback position, this stuff is defined a lot less by pure dollars and cents and a lot more with what kind of opportunity am I getting? Can you get me to where I want to go, which is the NFL? And is my situation in good shape for 2026?
Shahan, on DJ Lagway, obviously it's not going to be cheap, although maybe less than what he would have received had he had a better team. He played better himself, but let's just say they get him. Let's say Baylor, your alma mater, gets him. What does that mean to you, and does that at least get the ball rolling in the right direction entering the spring?
Well, I think the one thing that DJ Lagway would mean for Baylor is that they're kind of stepping up and playing with the big boys, right? That they're willing to throw a big contract out, that they're willing to try to, especially, by the way, for somebody who obviously has Baylor ties like DJ Lagway does. His dad, of course, played at Baylor. So I think it's one of those situations that you've just got to prioritize a kid who has a tie, who would enjoy it here, and also, of course, as a national name. It's a different situation, but I make the comparison to London Smith staying home, obviously a Waco kid. I think that you have to take care of your own first. And again, if you're Baylor as well, show your fan base that you are being serious about this, right? I think that that's another thing that DJ Lagway coming would do, is it would say, we want to win at the highest level. We are willing to try to recruit the best players in the country to come and do it. And while obviously DJ Lagway is not at the top of his, I guess sort of potential at this point, we believe that we can get more out of him, and we can get him to that number one quarterback in the nation type of level like he was coming out of high school. So I think that, again, you always want to be careful, because if you pay him X amount of dollars and he doesn't perform, well, that's X amount of dollars that you didn't spend on the rest of the roster. But I think for Baylor, that's the kind of gamble that could make sense.
Shahan, Kenny Dillingham sticking around in Tempe. Not sure how much the Michigan, talk actually got to him. Clearly it was surrounding him quite a bit, but will you be the next head coach at Michigan now?
Yeah, I'm a lot cheaper than some of the other options that they got out there. Now it's a lot going on right now. Right now, they said that their interim coach Biff Poggi said that they hope to have a coach before their bowl game. And there's been some reporting that says they hope to have one before Christmas. Well, December 23rd. I don't know when exactly they're going to get that done, but there are some teams that are still playing in postseason games and bowl games. There are some names that we've heard linked a little bit, but I mean, it really is still an open search at this point.
It is. It's unbelievable, isn't it? And we were talking about like the Levitt thing, which he, of course, came from another school. He was a hero, and now all of a sudden he's like disappears. He's like, it's just so many things going on, but it's the way it is, and gives us lots of things to discuss, man. Frustration to exhilaration. Thank you, Shahan. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and hopefully we'll talk to you next Tuesday if that's okay.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me.
Shahan Jaraja, CBS Sports, with us on a bunch of so much, and then we'll have Tim Brando. He'll join us. Craig's off the radar. All of that and more. Garrett, I'm going to go ahead and tease, if it's okay, Friday. I was able today to sit down, thanks to Ben Dvorak, in Temple at the McLean Group with the great Drayton McLean Jr. Did a one-on-one with him today. We will air that in its entirety on Friday at just after 3 o'clock. So that is going to be out on Friday on 365 Sports, from his thoughts about today in college athletics, his thoughts about it as an incredible businessman in person, and what he sees and what are some of his suggestions. We'll have that at just after 3 o'clock on Friday, my conversation, thanks to Ben Dvorak, with Drayton McLean Jr. This is 365 Sports. Marco's Pizza. I don't know what it is, but sometimes on Tuesdays, and I was in Temple, could have grabbed a sandwich or maybe even a burger. I don't eat a lot of burgers. On my way back, I didn't do it. I was busy trying to also get ready for the show, and I didn't eat. Like I had a little yogurt thing, I guess, this morning before I left for Temple, but I hadn't eaten, and I was like, man. And then I was lightheaded, and I said, I'm going to call Marco's Pizza on the way to the studio. Then I got conversation with a guy at a hardware shop about something I'm trying to do with a picture on my wall, and I never did get something to eat. I was starving. When I thought about the pizza, it was Marco's Pizza. There's a lot of options, but that's the one that I go to. And Bob Mock, the owner of 5 locations in Waco, my favorite is the large, thin crust, all-meat pizza, chicken, pepperoni, Italian sausage, and everything else you can imagine. It is delicious. They have sandwiches, they have wings, and they have more. 5 locations in Waco, the fastest-growing pizza brand in America. Marco's Pizza. Pizza lovers get it. Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, raise your cholesterol, and cause weight gain. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results. So if you're tired of being tired, call or go online at pettycliniclowt.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $165 a month, including lab work, office consultation, testosterone injections, and follow-up visits, compared to $300 or more a month in Dallas or Austin. And you don't have to drive 90 miles one way or the other and fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T has board-certified physician consultations and will provide the best form of brand-strength testosterone. Contact Petty Clinic Low T for increased energy, improvement in sexual desire and performance, mood, concentration, even a decrease in body and belly fat. Just off Highway 84 and Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway, pettycliniclowt.com.
whatever it is you wrangle, whatever seeds you sow, no matter what you nurture or what you choose to grow, at Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, we're proud to protect all Texans.
This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com. Enjoying the show? Hit the like button and subscribe.
Tim Brando, Fox Sports. It's been a while. We try to get Tim on. A lot of it's his travel schedule. A lot of it's ours and what we do. But he joins us on the eve of Christmas and getting his thoughts on the college football landscape and playoffs and more. Greg Smoak, David Smoak, Tim Brando. Tim, thank you very much. Which of the quarterfinal round games are you most interested in?
Oh gosh, I think that the Indiana-Alabama game is one that, in a lot of respects, is going to be, I think, the most eye-opening for so many non-believers, particularly in the SEC, but in the South in general. There's still a lack of respect for Indiana because, they don't play anybody. I'd say Ohio State's somebody. I'd say Oregon on the road at Outson is somebody. But, I never cease to be amazed, Smoke, at the relative stupidity and lack of knowledge that so many fans of college football. Now, a lot of them are casual fans. I get that. And some of it is just, a-holes on X, and maybe they're trying to, just to dispute anything that I might possibly say, and that happens from time to time. But I think that game could go a long way in educating a lot of fans about where we are in the college game, that a program that is the losingest program in college football history could be within a 2-year span on the precipice of a national championship. Right now, the two hottest teams going into the playoff, in my view, and particularly of the teams that had open dates, are Texas Tech and Indiana. It's unfortunate that game, if it does take place, would not be in the championship game, because that's just the way the brackets fall. But that's the game that I really do want to see, is Indiana, Texas Tech. And I believe that, in the case of the Red Raiders, it's a question of how do they handle the full cup of success and playing, in this kind of environment after the week off. And in the case of Indiana, it's like, okay, we already saw what you did in the Big Ten championship. That was something new. But at the same time, you've had a week off, and that extra week means you've been sitting for a long, long time before you play an Alabama team that's coming off the emotional high of a 17-point comeback in a game that many could say probably was given to them, but they had to go out and earn and make plays late, and they certainly did, to sort of change the narrative on them. I think that's a very compelling game, and I think nationally it's the game that real football people want to see.
Tim, when it comes to that opening round, because we obviously can't just dive in, and a couple of those games we don't really need to dive in too much on how they unfolded, but so much hand-wringing. What did you enjoy most, whether it was a result or an atmosphere or what, from opening weekend, and then what kind of stayed with you from opening weekend, whether for better or for worse?
Well, the enjoyment level for me is seeing the home playoff games. Okay, no matter games played on the campuses. I think that even if you knew what the outcome was going to be in Oxford, that was one hell of a scene. And as someone that's been to Ole Miss many times and had a daughter that graduated from there in 2012, and they had some success back in those days. That was just after Eli had taken them to Cotton Bowls, and they had my friend Houston Nutt had back-to-back Cotton Bowl wins. They never packed it like that. You never had a moment like that in the town of Oxford. I think the number's somewhere in the neighborhood of $75 to $100 million of economic impact the game had. in that town, in and around the Ole Miss campus. That's pretty amazing. And the same was really true at all those home locations. And, I've experienced Outson, and you knew those people would be wired regardless of who they were going to play. And most of them didn't know anything about James Madison, but they were there, and they showed up and they showed out. And the Oklahoma fan base they were there throughout, and it meant a lot to them, of course. So the thing that I would like to see us get, especially with 16 being, I think, married in next year. I do think we're definitely going to go to 16. Let's play more of these babies on campus. And if you have to allow the bowls because of some grandfather arrangement that's been played in, find a place to do it on a rotating basis with the championship game. Let's let these games now, and the regular season for the higher seeded team could come into play again to make the regular season more important. Allow the team that has the higher seeding to be able to play at home. I think it's just great for the game, certainly for the fans and the students and the schools. That's the thing that jumps out to me. The thing that is distasteful, I'm just going to say it one time and one time only, is the low-hanging fruit that people in our business, Smoak, continued to hammer away at that they absolutely had no right to hammer away. Going after and pissing down the leg of the G6 schools, once again, showing how ignorant you are to an agreement that was made when the 12-team thing came into play. They had to know that the G5 was guaranteed spots. Now, if you want to change the format, yeah, fine, change it. If you can convince television to do a G6 only championship, fine. I don't think that television's going to buy it, and you're not going to be able to have a playoff with 16 teams without having an opportunity, a pathway for the group of five to get in. Otherwise, you're going to go to court and you're going to lose. Okay? We can get into all kinds of issues with antitrust, anything else that you want to talk about, but there has to be a pathway for the G5 schools to get in. And what happened here to allow for two teams to get in had zero to do with the group of five or group of six, if you want to call it that, which is what it really is, the group of six now. The ACC could have simply put in their tie-breaking system, okay, the tiebreaker goes to the team with the highest ranking, and it's over with. It's done. Miami gets the bid. End of story, okay? They didn't do that. They had a cockamamie system in play that would allow for a 5-loss Duke team to win the conference championship. That's on them, okay? It's on one of the Power 5 conferences. And by the way, other conferences have the same tie-breaking system. How stupid is that? So for people in our industry, people that know better, to go after that and just, try to just throw cold water on what was a successful year for those kids from James Madison and Tulane, how dare you? How dare you do that and get away with it?
Yeah, and here's the thing. Even going into the weekend, no matter how the games were played, that was already going to be the people had their pitchforks out. And James Madison and Tulane did not by any means be competitive in either one of those games. But that was they couldn't wait. It's like almost people couldn't wait.
They just pounced on it.
Mm-hmm. And one of the other things, I saw some of the descriptions of when those games were going on, like, I'm sad for James Madison, or this is not, those guys are still having the time of their life.
Absolutely.
What do you think, Tim, would need to happen for the group of 6 schools, presidents, ADs, and football coaches to accept something different? What would they need in return?
Well, I think, a piece of the pie financially is part of it. And here's the other thing, all right? If you start talking about, I get this from condescending, especially fans of the brand names that discuss me every day on social media. Who are they? What are they? Who are they? A lot of them have players that were participating on Power 5 teams last year. And I'll tell you who they are. They are the guys that without, you would not be able to schedule 13 games in your season. Okay. And they said, but we're paying them. Yeah, you're paying them. Those are money games. Absolutely. Does it help sustain those programs? No question it does. But you still couldn't do it. The Southeastern Conference for years has relied not just on the Group of Five, but the FCS, for Christ's sakes, in the third week of November to fill out their damn schedule that they want to hold up and tell us is the greatest schedule of all time. Okay, so don't give me that crap. College football's Division I level, okay, is a group as well. And until you disassociate from a Division I standpoint, until you stop scheduling those teams and paying them to come in and get beat, okay, don't talk to me about a playoff without them. It's real easy for the high and mighty Nick Saban to talk about, well, this is like a AAA team. Well, that's really nice, Nick. I expect better from the GOAT. Your ass lost to UAB at LSU in your first year, and you lost to ULM where I went to school in your first year at Alabama. Where would you have been without those games to go 7-6 in Tuscaloosa so that you could play for and win a national championship 2 years later? This stuff makes me sick to my stomach. It's convenient, it's clickbait, and it's the kind of thing that just probably turns people away from college football in general. The notion, if you've got an answer that we can have a college football playoff with nothing but Power 4 teams in it, then go get it. Make it happen. You're tight with Greg Sankey. You're tight with President Trump. Go get it done. But in the meantime, stop pissing down the legs of schools the size of the one you went to, Kent State, where you learned how to coach the game from a man that would later go on to Washington and be pretty damn successful. It's that kind of hypocrisy that pisses me off and pisses a lot of other people off around college football that actually care about the totality of the sport.
Yeah, I will say when I saw some other guys that I kind of wasn't surprised to see making those comments. When I saw Saban say that, I was a little bit taken aback by it because I didn't think he'd go that route. But
well, he's been drinking the Disney Kool-Aid, hasn't he?
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, they've all made their message very, very clear over the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, crystal clear.
Absolutely,
Tim.
Absolutely.
What do you think about Texas Tech and Oregon? We won't talk to you before that one gets played, so I need to ask because I know you've seen Tech up close and personally. You've had a lot of good things to say. What do you believe?
Oregon too. Oregon too. So,
that's right. So what do you think of that matchup?
I think it's a hell of a matchup, and it's a game that, I mean, as much as I look forward to the Indiana-Alabama game, I think competitively, in terms of just entertainment value, I think the Texas Tech Oregon game might have greater value than any one of the other quarterfinals, and the reason for that is the defense of Texas Tech is so good at turning you over. All right. And as great as Dante Moore is, his upside is tremendous. He's probably among the quarterbacks, the most gifted, okay, of those quarterbacks. Athletically, he's also a great kid. I had the occasion to spend plenty of time with him. And, Devin Gardner, who works with me, has been credited by Dante for mentoring him all the way through his younger days growing up in Michigan. They're very, very close. I mean, Devin, when he starts speaking of him, almost tears up. He really does. And Moore has been very outspoken about that mentorship and what it means to him. But here's the issue. Because they like to get the ball down the field and because they rely heavily on those explosives, I think that Texas Tech's front seven could be a real deal breaker for Oregon. Oregon's offensive line has been a little banged up in some spots, and Dante has had moments where he's turned it over. Happened in the second half of the game. And by the way, we should give James Madison credit. No, was the game competitive? No. Did they cover the spread? Yes. So we need to give them credit for that. But the reality is turnovers have been at times a problem. Happened to him in the Iowa game. He was able to overcome it. But you got to remember, Iowa is a team that doesn't score a lot of points. So even if you get behind in a bad weather game, which they did, you still have time to make that up. Texas Tech, if their defense gets, I'll just give you the number. If their defense gets 2 turnovers, I think they win the game. Okay. And those turnovers can come either with a sack, a scoop, and a score. It can come with a Bailey hit and fumble of a quarterback who's looking to throw the ball. It can happen with Jacob Rodriguez falling back into pass coverage and what they're trying to do defensively. I don't need to tell you how good the Texas Tech down front has been. That front seven's, I think, the best front seven in college football. Now, Oregon, on the other hand, does have better big play capability, and they could force Texas Tech to score with them. If the game becomes a game in the high 30s or 40s, then Oregon's flipped the script because Tech wants to, I think, control this game and then say, okay, if our offense can score maybe 30 points, we're going to win this game. But if the game gets out of hand and it becomes a track meet, then it's advantage Oregon because they have more explosives within their offense than does Texas Tech. And, obviously, this isn't to say that Texas Tech can't move the ball or make big plays. We know they can. They just don't always do that. So that's the interesting part to me. If the game is the final is 30 to 24, I like Texas Tech. If the score is 48 to 45, I like Oregon. I mean, that's the kind of game I see. I think it'll be very entertaining one way or the other. But I just think the two defenses, and particularly Texas Tech's, can make enough big plays. And this is something else to consider, fellas. Both coordinators for Oregon have their minds, at least to some extent, on other things right now. Will Stein's a great young coach, going to do, I think, a super job at Kentucky, and Tosh LaFoy, similar story. He's going to be a head coach too, and I think those things can become problematic when all things are equal and you're playing in a very competitive environment. And Oregon's going to be flying about 6.5 hours to get to that game. So I like Texas Tech to win it, but if the game gets a little sideways and it becomes a scoring fest, I think Oregon will.
I actually, you mentioned if it does get to be like a track meet, how many teams have actually tried to truly get aggressive and attack Tech, or do they go into it somewhat defensive mode? Just to see, like, hey, we're going to do this. If it works, great. We have a chance. If it doesn't, it doesn't. By the way, Dylan Stewart. Well, go ahead.
I was just going to say that's the issue. Is I don't think Texas Tech this year in the Big 12 faced a team quite like Oregon. I think probably the closest thing, BYU was the strongest team, I think, other than Texas Tech. I think we could agree on that. But, this is an Oregon offense. The closest thing to it, I think, would probably be TCU. But obviously they don't have TCU didn't have as many great receivers, big play receivers. They had one, McAllister, but they didn't have more than that. Oregon's got just a plethora of options to beat you vertically. Okay, so that you raise a great point there. That is the issue for Texas Tech. Can their pass rush, can their defensive structure, give enough trouble to Dante Moore? Otherwise, if there's time for him to go deep, they can certainly get deep. And they got speed merchants everywhere in the Oregon offense.
Yeah, I think this is the first time, the way I've thought about it, this is the first time that Tech is actually looking at a team that has as much talent and maybe a little bit more in some places. I feel like they always had more talent in every game they played this year to varying degrees. Tim, I was talking about some like Iowa Vanderbilt, I find to be a really interesting bowl game. You've got BYU Georgia Tech, I think will be a gritty as hell and fun bowl game. They're in the Pop-Tarts Bowl. But how do you feel about bowl season these days? Just the general bowl season, that's obviously another big picture conversation about what the future holds for all of that. But does it strike you the same? Does it strike you as different, for better or worse? Kind of how do you feel about it all?
I feel worse about it now than I ever have. And I hate saying that. In the past, I've always talked about the honor of the bowls, the communities, what it means. We have one here that's the 11th oldest bowl in Shreveport. It's been really good to a lot of teams in the Big 12 in recent years. But the reality is now, with everything that's happened and with the residue of the playoff going the way it has, so many more players opting out. January 2nd is the big day. People hopping in that portal and they're already making their decisions. And I think this is what I would do if I were college football's czar, something we really need, but we don't have, and we may never have in my lifetime. But I think that the conferences and the television networks, and in this case, ESPN owns more than half of them. So, I guess I don't know if they don't listen to me much in Bristol anymore. I know that, but I would go to them and say, these same bowl games also have these neutral site matchups at the beginning of the year. Same bowl people, whether it's in Miami or whether it's in Atlanta or Dallas. We've got these neutral site matchups that they put on their schedule, and the bowls actually underwrite them. I think they should go to every bowl in every one of those communities. Take those teams, fellas, that were bowl worthy a year ago. All right. And a mix master. Take those teams that were, bowl worthy a year ago and schedule some really quality intersectional games that make sense for the communities that house these bowl games that have been really vital in the history of college football. And I mean everywhere. Okay. Any place that's had a bowl game, whether it's owned by ESPN or not. And by the way, in my hometown, it's not owned by it at all. We have separate sponsors. I think that college football fans, remember me talking to you guys about week 0 needing to be August the 10th instead of August 24th? I think now with a 16-game format, that's already on the docket. That's being discussed as we speak. So if we're going to do that, let's have that opening week, a smorgasbord of games underwritten by the bowls, and put them all across the country in places where you wouldn't normally see a college football game. And say to the bowl sponsor, hey, we've got a great game. And you know what? These teams had good years last year, good enough to be in bowl games. We're going to open up and put them in this bowl that's going to be played in August. Why not do it that way? I think everybody would be excited, and we could get the season over with by New Year's Day or very near New Year's Day, which is a problem right now, as you well know, from a television standpoint, dealing with the NFL.
Do you remember the Kickoff Classic in New Jersey, which two teams?
Oh, yeah.
I started thinking about that. I remember Penn State played Nebraska and teams that, good teams.
Auburn with Bo Jackson.
Yeah.
Playing against Penn State. Oh, yeah, I remember it. I was doing local television in Baton Rouge, and Raycom had those games. Merle Harmon would usually be out there calling it my buddy Dave Rowe. Yeah, who was working with my buddy Dave Rowe, who I'd later work with on the SEC and Jefferson Pilot in the late 90s. I remember those games well. Imagine if we had games like that involving teams from all different parts of the country, and you're playing games. Some of the sites would be similar to ones you played in before, but maybe some would not. Okay, the fans in Boise, I'm sure, would love to see a team from another part of the country come in and play a team out of the Mountain West or the new Pac-12. That would be cool. I think a lot of people would love it, and I think television would eat it up. We gotta find a way, fellas, to what did you hear about the Monday after the weekend of the college football playoff? You heard about Caleb Williams. You heard about the NFL. And why did we hear about the NFL? Because the NFL is the golden goose of all sports in this country. College football, on its greatest day, will only get about half the viewership. So why the hell are you putting your most important games up against the NFL and having to sublease your games because you don't want your ratings to tank on ESPN to Turner, of all people? What the hell are we doing? That needs to stop. It needs to change. And whatever new contract is involved, I don't care who the other networks are. If it's not Fox, I really don't care what other network gets involved. But we need another network involved. The NFL has everyone in the business of sports television involved. And now they've even got digital involved and Netflix involved on Christmas Day. That's what college football needs to do. Number one, it starts making a lot more money than it currently is. And number two, you remove the veil of impropriety when one network can and does on a regular basis gerrymander the process to their liking and to their partners' liking.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head on multiple points there, Tim. Couldn't agree more. Before we let you go, does Michigan have a head coach on the other side of Christmas? Obviously, huge news for Arizona State that Kenny Dillingham's going to be sticking around. And just what do you make of this situation now for the Wolverines?
Well, if it's messed up as Coach Pogge said it was, then they've certainly got time to. This is the good news for Michigan, is that they do have time to deal with it, and the fact that Ward Manuel is still there. And by the way, full disclosure, he's a New Orleanian. He's a guy I've known for a long time. He was one of Bo's boys, a big-time offensive lineman. Ward Manuel clearly, has been overseeing this mess and the messes that have preceded it. And for whatever reason, he's still there. My guess is he's there because people there trust him. And I think Ward is the reason why there's a very good chance that they could maybe do something similar to what Penn State did. Remember how we were laughing at Penn State thinking, oh, my God, they botched this. And they really wound up getting, I think, the guy that if they'd gone after him first, I think everyone would have agreed he would have been the best hire. Matt Campbell was a gem of a hire. I think there's a very good chance that the guy that they want is coaching, and he's coaching in the next round of these playoffs. And I really, otherwise, why would Ward Manuel, be handling this the way that he is? My guess is, and fans of Alabama who are really happy with Kalen DeBoer now, I think they're going to feel if Indiana spanks them. Okay, if that were to happen, let's not forget he started in the Midwest. He was in South Dakota. He was a coordinator at Eastern Michigan. Okay, not too far away from Ann Arbor. So if it's not him, and it might not be, it clearly, in all likelihood, won't be, because he believes he's got it going on there. And why would you leave Alabama for Michigan, given what Michigan's gone through? Greg Byrne's a great AD. I'm sure Greg is on top of it and wants to keep him. But I just believe somebody that's coaching perhaps right now might be who they're hunting, and they're still hunting. I saw a couple of days ago, Whittingham's name popped up. Now all of a sudden we're seeing Jeff Brom's name pop up. His team is busy playing Toledo, I think, and barely skating by last I checked. Jeff Brom would be a heck of a coach, I think. That would be a great hire. But Michigan's got to do it the way, we found out with Rich Rodriguez when he was hired that the way you play the game does matter to the Michiganders. So maybe neither DeBoer or Brom are the kind of guys they want, okay? Because these are offensive coaches that like to spread it around, and Michigan likes to, ground and pound. So we'll see. It's crazy to think that they're in this position, but what I'm trying to say to you is I think that the reason Ward still has a job is because they trust him, and Ward's got a lot of contacts, and agents know him well, and that's a great job. It's not the greatest job, and I wouldn't say it's even on the same level as Alabama's right now, but it might be the better option for Kalen DeBoer if, in fact, they lose that game to Indiana, because I'm telling you, to those Alabama fans, losing on a walk-off field goal at the end is going to be like a 30-point blowout to them. They will be pissed.
Tim, unbelievable. Thanks for your time. We appreciate it. Louisville beat Toledo 27-22. Kind of got a little crazy on a blocked extra point.
It did.
It did. Louisville hold on to Brom and company. Mick Moss, the quarterback, they end up winning 27-22. Hey, Merry Christmas, buddy. A Happy New Year, and we'll hopefully talk to you on the other end when we get closer to the semifinals in the college football playoff if you're available. Have a great, great week.
Same to you. And by the way, I know sometimes I get passionate and I sound a little mad. That just means you're bringing out the passion in me. I always enjoy doing it with you guys all the time. Thanks for having me.
You too. And that we love the passion. Our audience absolutely loves it. I got a text from one of the viewers that said this is one of his top 10 best, and he's been on with us dozens of times over the 5 years we've been on the show. When we come back, Craig Smoak and Off the Radar. But Louisville did win to give you that final. Louisville wins. Southern Miss and Western Kentucky are in the first quarter in New Orleans, and Western Kentucky jumped out to a 3-0 lead. And this is 365 Sports.
Automatic Chef is your local vending, office coffee, and micro market provider, delivering outstanding service to break rooms all over Central Texas for over 50 years. Automatic Chef brings the best products to your location at the best prices. With hundreds of choices in fresh food, coffee, snacks, and drinks, let Automatic Chef tailor a break room solution to your needs. Make break time great again with Automatic Chef. Automatic Chef Canteen, 6900 Imperial Drive in Waco, or online at automaticchef.com.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, a wrist injury, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trust. Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
There are 26 letters in the alphabet, over 600,000 words in the dictionary, and just 3 of them said together can change everything. Let's order pizza. Those 3 words lead to dough made from scratch and 3 fresh signature cheeses that blanket golden crust in a heavenly melt on Marco's Pizza that'll blow your mind. So visit marcos.com to order and stop by Marco's Pizza in Belmead, China Spring, Woodway, and in Robinson. Marco's. Pizza lovers get it.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
No car payments for 90 days when you bring your auto loan home to Genco. Get 4.79% for 48 months and make no payments until 2026. Plus, get entered to win 3 months of no car payments. Bring your auto loan home to Genco. Lower your interest rate, save money, and no payments until 2026. Special is subject to credit approval and membership eligibility. Visit GencoFCU.org. Member NCUA.
This is Craig Smoak's Off the Radar, presented by Alliance Bank. They take pride in making banking easy. AllianceBankTexas.com.
Welcome into 365 Sports. Welcome back. Off the Radar here to close out the remainder of, well, I guess possibly this week. We'll have the Drayton McClain interview for you on Friday.
We will have it.
We'll have that, but I don't know about what else we might have before Monday rolls back around. But we will have at least that for you. But closing things on out down the stretch drive here and have a little off the radar to discuss some things outside of college football, because I think we covered pretty much every base there, but I'll still dabble with a little bit before we go. I was hoping to have college football TV ratings, although those have been slower to come by really the entire season. Was able to rely on one site there for a while, and this year they completely messed the bed outside of like 2 weeks. And On3's kind of been on the cusp of having these first, but they don't have anything as well. So unfortunate to report, I have no TV ratings to talk about from this past weekend. I was hoping we'd have that.
Who was the feed that used to do that? Was that who was it in the past?
Sports Media Watch, which I mentioned before. But On3 doesn't have it either, and they aren't out yet, so we will not get into the TV ratings here. So instead, I did want to make a mention of the viewership for the big Jake Paul, Anthony Joshua fight over the weekend. Not sure if you caught this on Friday night, but Jake Paul stopped by professional boxer, like actual legitimate professional boxer, Anthony Joshua. Paul is a professional boxer, but in the very cartoony, circusy way. And so no surprise that Joshua won. What no surprise was kind of an embarrassment to actual real legitimate boxing, but something that's very suited towards this day and age and the Netflix kind of freak fight setups that we've seen really put a lot of money in Paul's pockets over the last couple of years in particular. And will probably continue to, because despite the fact that he lost and despite the fact that, it was not the most competitive fight, Jake Paul did reportedly make $92 million off of this fight for Netflix, but the ratings came in just a little while ago, and that's why I bring this up. 33 million viewers for Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua. So if you were hoping that these types of fights were going to go to the wayside, or that Jake Paul was going to go to the wayside, no chance that happens anytime soon. 33 million viewers globally for Joshua and Paul on Friday night on Netflix. Those numbers are released by Netflix today, representing the average minute audience for the fight down in Miami. The number one ranked program in 45 different countries. It was the second major boxing event on Netflix this year. If you remember, they had Canelo Alvarez and Terrence Crawford back in September. That fight did draw more. That was actually a real boxing match as well. 41.5 million viewers for that one. So I guess I'm not opposed to the freak show fight. I just, at this point, I've kind of seen through the smoke and the mirrors of it all, and I just see the easy cash grab that Paul in particular keeps getting for fighting random guys, whether they're former UFC washouts or a boxer past his prime or whatever. There's no doubt he's a draw. 33 million viewers for that one, so not quite Alvarez and Crawford, but a very healthy audience that really anybody but the NFL would kill to have, quite frankly.
I saw part of it, obviously, as you mentioned, Netflix, and I kind of all of a sudden saw the flash that he was getting dominated. It's unbelievable. He got a lot of money to get his ass kicked, and then have I think both sides of his jaw broken. But the hit that knocked him down was as vicious a hit as you could possibly imagine. And it was almost, when Paul was hit, it was like, oh, damn, I've never felt that before. Not just the broken jaw, but he got hit, and he just measured him and eventually took him out.
Yeah, Jake Paul was trying to do a lot of basically grappling. He was trying to wrestle.
The ring was massive too.
He was trying to wrestle more often than not, and it was just kind of embarrassing. I mean, the whole thing really is, if you're a boxing purist, but if you're just a freak show connoisseur, then this is right up your alley. So big numbers there, but it was down from Alvarez and Crawford, and it was way, way, way down from Mike Tyson and Jake Paul back in November of 2024. You'll remember Mike Tyson, fresh off a medical emergency in the months prior, and at 60-plus years old, getting one last major payday. That fight in November of 24 brought in 108 million viewers at its peak. So that was both of these fights, Alvarez, Crawford, and also Paul Joshua. Put those together, then add another Paul Joshua, and then you have the Tyson-Paul numbers. That's how big of a draw that fight was, Paul and Tyson. But as you mentioned, Paul now with a second, I guess, official loss. He did have a fractured jaw with 2 breaks in his jaw that he had to undergo surgery on. And he had made a joke about, or I don't know how much of a joke it actually was, but he did make a tweet after the fact showing the x-ray to give him Canelo in 10 days. And the thing about it is, why I don't take that as much of a joke, is because I feel like that's probably the next thing that we will see. And in no world would Canelo Alvarez not absolutely smoke Jake Paul, but I feel like if people are still viewing by the tens of the millions, and they're making millions and millions of dollars, and he's making $90+ million to fight, then they're going to keep doing this until the wheels fall off, or he's unable to do it anymore. And so, throw Canelo's name into the mix, even though he's retired at this point, and see how much of an audience you can get for that. But yeah, Netflix is not going to stop the fights anytime soon with the success they're having. So just found that interesting. The fight itself, not for the boxing purists out there, that is for sure. Meanwhile, wanted to update some college football scores here We had the bowl games getting started earlier with Toledo and Louisville, and we updated that for you. 27-22, Louisville beats Toledo in the Boca Raton Bowl. So Louisville finishes 9-4 on the year. Toledo 8-5. But do have a couple more games coming up later on today and into this evening, as well as we've got Western Kentucky and Southern Miss, which should actually be kicked off at this point.
It is underway
in the New Orleans Bowl. Excuse me. So Western Kentucky and Southern Miss hadn't looked just yet. 3-0 Western Kentucky. A little bit of time left in the first quarter there. And then later on tonight, you will have the Boca Raton Bowl, the Frisco Bowl. It's jumping around a little bit. The Frisco Bowl, Ohio and UNLV later on tonight at 8 o'clock on ESPN. So that will be coming your way as well. And then Christmas right around the corner. Got the Christmas Day games that'll be on the horizon here and taking us into Week 17 as triple header coming up on Christmas Day. Cowboys and Commanders at noon on Netflix. Lions and Vikings on Netflix to follow that. And then Broncos and Chiefs in a matchup that was a lot sexier about a month ago or 3 weeks ago even. That will be the Prime Video nightcap. So if you don't have subscriptions to any of those, no NFL for you to watch on Thursday. But if you have Prime, you'll get one game. If you have Netflix, you'll get a couple games. If you have both, you'll get all three. But welcome to the modern era of trying to watch sports where you have to have a subscription to everything, even on Christmas, to watch the NFL.
And every one of those games will get a good number. Cowboys, even though they're done, Washington's been done for 5-10 weeks. Vikings and Lions, just kind of two, former longtime NFC rivals, NFC Central rivals. And in that Chiefs game, people are going to see the Chiefs, and Denver's really good. Chiefs are done with Mahomes' injury, and they'll still have huge audiences. But that's a disappointing threesome based on who those teams are, most of them today. Detroit barely may make the playoffs. Vikings are pretty much out. And then, of course, Denver's going to be a playoff team too.
Yeah, it's not the best slate. I mean, Commanders-Cowboys is kind of ring hollow for the most part for a while now. There's been a matchup here and there that's been of extreme interest, but that is what will get started on Christmas Day on Netflix. Detroit, Minnesota, Denver, KC, and yeah, Patrick Mahomes' injury. Chiefs eliminated from playoff contention, and the big story with them right now is not even the season at this point. It's the fact that the Chiefs have announced they are relocating to the state of Kansas, right next door, and they hope to have their new domed stadium complete by the 2031 season. Now, the mayor of Kansas City had said a lot of things that, it's very political when you're trying to build stadiums and get all of that done. And so there was a lot of talk back and forth on what was going to actually be the outcome here. But obviously a lot of people hoping that they would remain close by. Well, they will, but remain closer by, like actually in Kansas City. And instead, they are going to be relocating to the state of Kansas. So will it be the Kansas Chiefs? Probably not, because the proximity is still right there next door. But they had played in Arrowhead since 1972. Owner Clark Hunt said that they are excited to take another momentous step for the future of the franchise. We have entered into an agreement with the state of Kansas to host Chiefs football beginning with the 2031 season. It will be a state-of-the-art dome stadium and mixed-use district in Wyandotte County, which I might be butchering that, I don't know, and best-in-class training facility, team headquarters, mixed-use district. So basically what everybody's doing now, where you have a stadium and your training facility and like a strip mall and restaurants and a parking garage and a hotel and everything all in one place. And a lot of colleges are doing that, or have done that already at this point as well. But it will total a minimum of $4 billion development in the state of Kansas, who now can claim a pro football franchise, I guess, in 2020 or in 2031. So the Chiefs will remain in Arrowhead until 2030. And then we'll move into, again, another trendy thing is not only like the mixed use, but having a domed stadium. We're seeing that with all of the cold weather places now. Cleveland's wanting to go indoors. Chicago's wanting to go indoors. Kansas City's going indoors. And a lot of that has to do with hosting events like the Super Bowl. So I'm sure that's in their plans as well. But they had been playing in Arrowhead and will continue to for at least a little while longer, since 1972. So there you go.
One of the summaries of the deal is that the Chiefs get to keep 100% of the revenue from all stadium activities, ticket sales, concessions, all of that. but also they will, Kansas, the state will own the stadium, but the Chiefs paying $7 million annually in rent. That money will not go to the state. It will go back into a kind of a reservoir of money for any kind of uptick, repairs, renovations, whatever. And this seems to be about 100% win-win for the Chiefs.
Yeah, it sure seems to be, and probably for some in Kansas as well. And for Kansas City, I mean, it's not as though they're really like moving that far or anywhere unfamiliar or losing their identity really in any way. It's just a bittersweet type of a thing, like you see with a lot of these franchises, and just losing their teams that you grew up having there. I mean, for the people who grew up in Kansas City, going to Arrowhead Stadium, you're now in your waning years of that, and there will be a new dome stadium across the border that you will now venture off to. And then there's mixed reports on the Royals. It seems like they could be sticking around Kansas City. I won't say that I'm super in-depth on all the conversations, especially local politics in Missouri, but it does appear as though the Royals will be getting a new stadium, and not sure on the details of that as well, but they were also a part of just the overall conversations that were taking place with the city of KC and trying to figure out the future with their 2 and soon to be 1 professional sports organizations. And then a couple more notes. Last night, 49ers moved to 11-4, big win over the Colts, 48-27. Merry Christmas, Andrew. See you on the other side, pal, as he takes a short, or I guess an early leave from the show. I just want to shout him out because he does a great job behind the scenes. But Brock Purdy with a massive night, 5 touchdown passes. He had Trent Williams, who's probably one of the most respected guys in the entire league and has been around for forever, who was just glowingly positive about Brock Purdy and the leader he is and the work that he puts in. And if you see that coming from Trent Williams, then you can take that to the dadgum bank. But Purdy, the former Iowa State standout, 25 of 34, 295 yards, 5 TDs, and an interception. And the 49ers looking like a team that would be a pretty solid bet to pick for a Super Bowl appearance and perhaps to win the whole thing as well. But yeah, just a shout out to Brock Purdy for an absolutely massive night. And to see Trent Williams, again, just glowing over him, I think, for me at least, speaks absolute volumes.
You haven't heard much about them. The 49ers, you look up, they're 11-4. The Rams are the same way, of course, with Whit McVay and Stafford, et cetera. But you really haven't heard a lot about, there's 3 teams in that division that have a better record than everybody else in the NFC, other than Chicago, who's also 11-4. It's like they fly, they just do their thing. Not a lot of glitz and glamour, but some great players. I just love the way they just go about their business, no matter who's injured, no matter who's playing, and they end up in the middle of the mix.
So I've told you about the Christmas Day schedule and an update on just the game last night, Brock Purdy's 5 touchdowns and a huge performance for him and for San Francisco. Told you about the bowl games that are on right now and also coming your way later on tonight. But also before we go here and head off into a Christmas break in the next few minutes, AJ Debonsa, BYU star, massive night for him last night in a win over Eastern Washington. If you were on social media and follow Big 12 stuff, then I'm sure you got the For You of BYU basketball or somebody covering it that lets you know AJ Debonsa, the star true freshman for the Cougars, had a pretty impressive night. He's had a really impressive start to his career, period, but last night becomes the youngest player in NCAA history to record a 30-point triple-double in the win over Eastern Washington. Debonsa, 33 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists. He's also adding that to becoming the first D1 player in the last 30 years to average at least 25, 5, and 5 on 60% shooting over the course of a month. Now, that right there is like some Evan Miyakawa type stuff of like, it's just like 25, 5, and 5. Okay, but on 60% shooting and in a calendar month, like I don't know where people come up with these stats of like, for 2-week period, he shot over 65% while scoring. I don't know, but it all reads as very impressive. You don't need to watch long to know how impressive he is. And yeah, he's they're about to hit the holiday break, but he is a mega star in the making. And obviously basketball is going to get a lot louder coming up here over the next few weeks as we get conference play underway. But when it comes to the national picture and the Big 12, A.J. DeBonsa is a guy that if you haven't already started paying attention, you will be forced to if you're going to pay any attention to college basketball this year. So congrats to him, and BYU's got themselves a stud, but they already knew that when they landed him to begin with.
They are 12-1. The last BYU player to have a triple-double was Kyle Collinsworth against UAB in March of 2016. I did not recall that name. Anything else?
One other thing that just came down in the last few minutes, Brooks Koepka. This is on ESPN here in the last really like 5 minutes or so, or maybe the last hour. We've been a little bit busy hosting here, but Brooks Koepka announced that he is not returning to LIV Golf in 2026. He is going to be replaced by Taylor Gooch as the captain of Smash GC, as they have their teams over there in LIV. So they've already announced his replacement, Taylor Gooch, but LIV, in a statement from their CEO saying, we've amicably and mutually agreed that Brooks Koepka will no longer compete in LIV Golf following 2025. Brooks is prioritizing the needs of his family and staying closer to home. We appreciate the significant impact he's had on the game and wish him continued success both on and off the course. And then Koepka had a nice thank you, Saudis, thank you, LIV, whatever type of a message as well, and cited family as guiding his decisions. I think he's also got a big stack of cash to sit on now after the last couple of years.
Yeah,
that probably makes this an easier decision as well.
He got the reports, you never know, but he got a few, like probably 300 or 400 million, has won there. He still won, remember, a major when he was with LIV. He always seemed to be, and I don't know if it's because of that documentary that's on Netflix or whatever, it always seemed like he still wasn't always happy. But he's kind of gotten. I'm glad. I hope this means he's going to play back on the PGA Tour. I like him. He's got a little smart ass in him, a little edge to him, and I've always liked him, even when he did move on to LIV.
I think the money probably makes this an easy decision, but it should be mentioned as well, maybe in the very beginning, of the fact that he also had a personal tragedy. He and his wife suffering a miscarriage this fall in the last couple of months, and so I'm sure that played, or at least weighed on the emotions and wanting to be closer to home and all of those things as well. But, I mean, yeah, he went in 3 years' time, made a lifetime of money in LIV, and now it remains to be seen on whether he'll be allowed to return to the PGA Tour or if that's what he wants to do immediately. But that will be the next big question, as, Brooks Koepka is leaving LIV Golf. So there you go. There's a few things off the radar.
Yeah, he's one of those, though, even though he left and it was a huge hit for LIV, he's one of those that I always think still stayed in pretty good terms with the PGA Tour. Not everybody was able to or actually did that. Okay, Craig, thank you very much. Brooks. Oh, by the way, Dylan Stewart at South Carolina announced he's coming back for his junior year. The edge rusher at South Carolina. Okay, Brandon, we've got quizzes. Is that right?
Yes, sir. And we also have this super chat.
We have a super chat from retired stockbroker. He and Les, 17th anniversary today. Good for you. Enjoy it. Thank you very much. A loyal watcher, listener, viewer, and Les is too. I met them when Houston played Baylor about 3 years ago and enjoyed a chance to visit with them a little bit. Great people.
Thank you, retired stockbroker, as always, for your support, and everybody else out there. We're going to say our goodbyes here in a little bit, but yeah, definitely appreciate you, and a happy anniversary as well.
Here we go. Which college football game was traditionally played on Christmas Day and became a holiday staple from the 1980s to 2000? A college football. The Hawaii Bowl never became a staple. The Aloha Bowl.
I'm trying to think of when
Christmas,
the Holiday Bowl was played.
The Holiday Bowl, I got it. That's in San Diego. Bowl, right? It played at Jack Murphy, Qualcomm Stadium. I remember Baylor playing UCLA in the Holiday Bowl, and I flew out on Christmas Eve to get there to cover the game. It's the Holiday Bowl.
Yeah, it's the Holiday Bowl. Couldn't remember exactly on the dates, but yeah, it's definitely fallen on Christmas.
Oh, my goodness. Okay. The hell with me.
From 82, okay, well, maybe didn't read the 82 to 2000. Maybe that's why. I don't know. Honolulu's Christmas Day Bowl game from 82 to 2000 became a staple of holiday football in Hawaii, featuring memorable matchups like UCLA, Florida in 87 with future NFL stars Aikman and Emmett. Final game was played on Christmas Day 2000 when Boston College beat ASU and was later replaced by the Hawaii Bowl, typically held on Christmas Eve or nearby breaks. So, okay, yeah. Should have read the 82 to 2000 part.
Yeah,
and,
you're right. Yeah,
that's where I erred there. But, yeah, I was thinking about the Holiday Bowl and got that wrong. So
I've been there.
You go.
I've been to that stadium. They used to play that college game against NFL players, and I've watched game there before. All right, here we go. This sport was played by World War I soldiers in no man's land during the 1914 Christmas truce.
Well, football would be a really good answer because I think that that's our wheelhouse, but I don't know for World War I, that definitely wouldn't have been the case. So, I mean, I have literally no idea whatsoever. I'm inclined to say it's either soccer or rugby, but I am not sure unless you've got...
I have no idea. I can't imagine it's golf.
I mean, World War I, football seems like a trick answer.
Well, it just seemed like if a bunch of guys that were back or home or in, like you said, in downtime, that they'd go play a football game.
Yeah, but it's football. It's not.
Yeah, I know.
It's not American soldiers. It's British soldiers and German soldiers. But that's part of me that's getting kind of a little bit hung up here. Is
it's got to be then soccer and rugby. You're right. Pick one.
No, it's bothering me. I'm going to pick football. Why is that on there?
All right.
Soccer. Okay. Yeah.
In 1914 Christmas truce, British, French, and German soldiers left their trenches to exchange gifts, sing carols, and even play informal soccer matches in no man's land, involving up to 100,000 troops. The truce featured candlelit Christmas trees and joint burials, before the war soon resumed.
Well, I'm going to reset my brain over the next 5 days or so, and I desperately need to. And I think that I outthought myself on this one because soccer was so obvious that it was obvious when you've got a couple of European countries, and then I forgot the French as well. They're in the trenches. So, yeah, it obviously would have been soccer as opposed to American football. So, Andrew got me on that one. What are we going to next here, fellas?
Got the poll results. And
0-2.
Here we go. Yeah, we haven't been 0-2 very often. That's a bad way to go out into the Christmas break. Which Christmas? Yeah, I agree. Which Christmas Day game are you most excited to watch?
I thought my computer was on or something. I was like, where's that coming from?
I'm not excited to watch any of these games. I'll have them on. But I'm like one, oh, my God, what time does it kick off? I got to watch it. But none of these may. I said the Lions and Vikings because there's something still at stake. The Lions trying to get in the playoffs. The Broncos have already clinched.
No Mahomes for the Chiefs makes me not care about that one nearly to the extent that I otherwise would have. Cowboys, Commanders are a shell of last year's team success-wise, and maybe it's just a lot of luck last year, but it's also health because Jaden Daniels has been in and out of the lineup constantly, and I don't know. Their defense sucks, and they're going to have to make some changes this offseason, and the Cowboys are fine at best. So, yeah, that game, I don't know. I feel like we're supposed to continue to treat this as a rivalry, but it just hasn't felt like the rivalry that I grew up with for a really long time now. But just those two playing each other, there will be a good audience for that, I'm sure. But, yeah, I think the easy answer is Lions and Vikings. There's a bit more meat on the bone with that one, and the Lions are a really fun watch no matter who they're playing. So a little NFC North action will be probably, the best game of the day, I would think.
All right, yep. Games on the line. Broncos are in, Chiefs out, all the other ones, Cowboys and Commanders. That's just a name without the name of Washington's team. Well, all right, here we go. Which of the Billboard's top 4 Christmas classics is the best?
The Christmas songs they're all great. I have a soft spot for all of these. I don't know what would I vote for. I think maybe Holly Jolly Christmas. That's just the one that kind of rings in my head. So I think maybe I would have voted for that one. But there is no wrong answer on this. That's for sure. So to each their own. But I think I'd go Holly Jolly Christmas.
Nat King Cole is one of my favorite all-time singers. So I would say the Christmas song. Just love it. I'll get what's the thing that you have in your house or condo, wherever you live, and you tell it to play music? Is it Alexa? I do that usually on New Year's Eve. Christmas Eve, I'll just start playing, hey, play Christmas music, and I turn it up, and it plays for hours, and that's one of those I hope I hear when they do. All right, Andrew Valade, Logan Begessi, Garrett Ross, and Brandon Rowe. Yesterday, big day, thanks to Kim Coulter and others. They all got a Christmas bonus. We appreciate your super chats. Also, for Craig Smoak, Craig, enjoy your trip to Tyler and enjoy your next few days. Garrett and I will be working on the Drayton McClain Jr. interview. We'll play that at 3 o'clock on Friday. He was fantastic here on this channel. And then Monday, I'll be here in the studio with whoever else is here. We'll have the show, the regular show, 3 to 6. There's a good chance that Boise State's Jeremiah Dickey will be a part of that show. And then we'll see about what we do on Tuesday leading in to the New Year's. But I'll be here for Monday and Tuesday, no doubt.
Yeah, I'll probably be here Tuesday. We'll see how Monday goes. But I think I'll for sure be here on Tuesday and look ahead to the rest of the bowl games and the playoffs. And just want to thank all the guys behind the scenes for their work the last several months. I mean, we're going to be back before the new year, but thanks to all of you out there watching. If you haven't, please hit like and subscribe. We would definitely appreciate that. That would be the best kind of Christmas gift you could give us, or hit that thumbs up button. Any or all of the above would be great. So yeah, hit that like and subscribe button. And yeah, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. We appreciate you guys and gals for being along on the ride with us.
We will know a lot more when we are back together again on Monday with the show, and then look forward to the quarterfinal round. For Craig Smoak and also for Garrett Ross, thanks to Brandon Rowe, Andrew Valade, and Logan Begessi, and our sponsors, you the viewers. We do appreciate you so much. I'm David Smoak. Merry Christmas. We'll see you Monday or Friday. Good night.